Chapter 3320. Qin Feiyong and Madman frowned. The white-eyed wolf was too arrogant. He actually dared to attack a perfect ruler? At the same time, the two shadow guards couldn't help but stare blankly. Two supreme profundities were indeed ridiculously powerful. They could instantly kill a greater success ruler. However, he was still an initial ruler. How could he challenge a perfect ruler? Wasn't he looking down on them? One of the secret guards waved his hand. Along with a monstrous sword energy, a giant dragon appeared. The fifth profundity of the Law of Sword, Raging Dragon. Roar. The dragon's roar was deafening. Divine might filled the sky, causing the world to tremble. In the blink of an eye, the giant dragon and the crescent moon collided. There was no suspense. Facing the absolute suppression of cultivation, the crescent moon shattered on the spot. Pooh! The white-eyed wolf spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Cracks appeared on his body as blood flowed out. So strong? The white-eyed wolf was shocked. The law of death was a supreme law and a supreme profundity. However, when facing a perfect ruler, the difference was like heaven and earth. Wasn't this gap a little too big? As expected, a supreme profundity could at most surpass two minor realms. Roar. The raging dragon didn't stop and continued to attack the white-eyed wolf. When Qin Feiyong and Madman saw this, they hurriedly rushed to the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyong took out a divine life pill and stuffed it into the white-eyed wolf's mouth. I say, you're too arrogant. You actually dare to challenge a perfect ruler? Fortunately, it's only a collision of profundities. If that raging dragon attacked you directly, you wouldn't even have a corpse left. Madman glared fiercely at the white-eyed wolf. Didn't I just want to try? The white-eyed wolf smiled embarrassedly. You're crazy. Madman cursed and turned to look at the raging dragon formed by sword energy. His expression was extremely solemn. He didn't have any confidence facing a perfect ruler. Now, we don't have to make a move. Qin Feiyong muttered as a glint flashed across his eyes. With a thought, numerous figures immediately appeared beside him. A total of 54 people. They were none other than the 54 shadow guards. Go, cripple them. Following Qin Feiyong's order, the 54 shadow guards' auras erupted, and their murderous auras surged towards the raging dragon. Boom! The raging dragon instantly dissipated. One had to know that these 54 secret guards were all Paragon sovereigns. Any one of them could fight against the two dark guards, not to mention the 54 of them working together. It was completely unstoppable. What's going on? You guys actually joined Qin Feiyong as well? The two shadow guards looked at the 54 people in astonishment. This must be a dream. It was still acceptable for one shadow guard to pledge allegiance to Qin Feiyong. After all, some shadow guards were afraid of death. But now, there were 55 shadow guards. Why did so many people seek refuge with Qin Feiyong? However, the 54 shadow guards turned a deaf ear, and their expressions were indifferent. Even if they were former comrades, as long as Qin Feiyong said a word, they would not hesitate to attack. With the 54 people joining forces, they instantly shattered the chi of the two shadow guards. Even their divine souls were severely injured, and they lay in the void on the verge of death. What? At this moment, Wang Changyuan also noticed this scene, and his expression instantly froze. Not only the middle-aged man, but so many shadow guards also sought refuge with Qin Feiyong. You bunch of white-eyed wolf, I'm going to kill all of you. Wang Changyuan roared, and the law of lightning rolled out. The law of lightning contained an aura that could destroy heaven and earth, and it flooded in all directions like a tide. The middle-aged man was the first to bear the brunt. With a puff, he spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He shouted, "He's going to activate the ultimate skill. Quickly, protect the young master." As soon as he said that, the 54 shadow guards immediately stood in front of Qin Feiyong, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf. Their expressions were extremely solemn. At the same level, the ultimate skill was an invincible existence. Even if they joined forces, they would not be able to block it. Old Qin, let's retreat. The mad scientist said solemnly. Retreat? Qin Feiyong lowered his head and looked at the shattered island. Since the Mermaid Emperor and the White-Winged Emperor were imprisoned here, then the Alliance Master and the two divine beasts must also be here. They might be in another secret chamber. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he missed it this time, he might not be able to find another opportunity in the future. He had promised the Fire Dragon, his master, and the Hall of Famers that he would definitely save the Alliance Master and the two divine beasts, so he definitely could not give up like this. But Wang Changyuan was too strong. With their strength, even if they joined forces, they would not be able to defeat him. What should they do? Crack. Boom. The divine thunder roared and the heavenly might surged. The void around Wang Changyuan seemed to have turned into a sea of lightning. It was powerful and exuded a destructive aura. Under the shroud of this aura, the middle-aged burly man and the other dark guards could not help but turn pale and tremble. Boom. Suddenly, a huge eye appeared in the rolling lightning. It was purple gold in color, like the eye of the heavens, emitting a ruthless light. Eye of lightning annihilation? Following Wang Changyuan's roar, a purple gold lightning shot out from the purple gold eye. The destructive aura swept through the sky in an instant, annihilating the void and collapsing the sky. The sea below evaporated instantly. Young master, leave quickly. The middle-aged burly man rushed to Qin Feiyang's side and roared in horror. The other dark guards also had anxious looks on their faces. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. Weren't the Alliance Master and the two divine beasts the key to turning the tables? As long as they could save them, they could definitely kill Wang Changyuan with their strength. But the problem was that the token to open the stone door was with Wang Changyuan. Given the current situation, it would be extremely difficult to get the token from Wang Changyuan. As for forcefully breaking into the secret chamber, obviously that was not the case now, because the middle-aged burly man had said that the secret chamber where the Mermaid Emperor and Emperor were imprisoned was supported by the power of law. The secret chamber where the Alliance Master and the two divine beasts were imprisoned must also be supported by the power of law. Qin Feiyang had also seen the power of law. It was the law of lightning. This must be Wang Changyuan's masterpiece. Wang Changyuan's law of lightning had reached the highest level and its strength was naturally extraordinary. Therefore, with the strength of these dark guards, they would not be able to break it in a short time. In other words, this would take some time. But now, they obviously did not have time. What should we do? Qin Feiyang's mind kept flashing through one idea after another, but he rejected them one by one. Fight. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was indifferent, the middle-aged burly man gritted his teeth and roared. Boom. The group of dark guards immediately activated their law ultimates without holding back. Each of them had 6/5 ultimates. There were 55 of them, so a total of 330 ultimates were densely packed and covered the sky. Kill. Following the middle-aged burly man's roar, the 330 ultimates immediately blasted toward the purple gold lightning. Rumble. A series of deafening explosions immediately sounded in the sky above the sea. This place also turned into chaos. Terrifying airflows and storms swept in all directions. It was like the scene of the beginning of the world, shocking the world. However, even though he had 330 kinds of divine abilities, he couldn't stop the world extinguishing lightning light. The ultimates were shattered one after another. They were simply like withered trees, unable to withstand a single blow. As the ultimates were shattered, the dark guards' bodies and minds trembled violently, and blood gushed out. This was the terror of the highest level of ultimates. No matter how many fifth ultimates you had, you could not stop it at all. In less than 3 breaths, all 330 ultimates were shattered. The group of dark guards was severely injured, and their faces were as pale as paper. Little Qinzi, what are you thinking? If we don't retreat now, we will all die here. The white-eyed wolf roared. Madman and the group of secret guards were also very anxious, because the world-destroying lightning bolt was already coming for them. Let's fight to the death. The middle-aged burly man sighed. The group of dark guards silently nodded. They stared at the world-destroying thunder and were all prepared to fight to the death. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang suddenly raised his head, and 2 beams of light burst out of his eyes. Then, he waved his hand, and the white-eyed wolf, the mad scientist, the dark guards, and the two dark guards whose sea of chi had been destroyed all appeared in the sky above the Devil's Land. The group was stunned at first, but then they could not help but let out a sigh of relief. They were finally out of danger. Wait, where is little Qinzi? The white-eyed wolf's expression suddenly changed. He scanned the surroundings and did not see Qin Feiyong's trace. This bastard. He actually stayed outside alone. Does he want to die? The mad scientist roared. The group of dark guards also changed color. What was the young master doing? With his cultivation, how could he be Wang Chengyuan's opponent? As for the two dark guards whose cultivation had been destroyed, they looked at the Devil's Land in surprise. Was this the Black Tortoise Realm? Outside, Wang Chengyuan couldn't help but be stunned when he saw Qin Feiyong send everyone out of the Black Tortoise world and leave only him outside. After that, a wisp of ridicule rose on the corners of his mouth as he said, "Are you looking down on me? You actually stayed behind alone." Qin Feiyong turned a deaf ear to him and lowered his head to look below. The island had long been destroyed in the battle. Although the island was gone, the two secret rooms were still there. After all, with the support of the power of laws, it was not so easy to destroy. At this moment, the two stone rooms stood on the seabed, wrapped in mud. The seawater in this area had long evaporated, and the seabed was clearly visible, so the two secret rooms could also be seen. Shua! Suddenly, Qin Feiyong turned in the air and dived down to the seabed like lightning. Where can you escape to? Wang Chengyuan smiled contemptuously. With a wave of his hand, the destructive thunder immediately turned in the air and madly attacked Qin Feiyong. The crisis of death enveloped him. But Qin Feiyong did not panic at all. His eyes were fixed on the stone room. At the same time, in the stone room, this stone room was completely different from the stone room where the Mermaid Emperor and the White Wing Emperor were. Not only was it clean, but there was also a tea table and chairs made of 10,000-year-old mahogany neatly placed. And at this moment, the stone room was filled with a faint tea fragrance. On the tea table, there was a porcelain teapot that looked like it was made of precious jade. There was also an incense burner next to it. Wisps of green smoke floated, exuding a pleasant sandalwood fragrance. Chapter 33:21. A middle-aged man was sitting beside the tea table. He picked up the teacup on the table and tasted it quietly. He was wearing a white robe and had a faint smile on his chiseled face. He looked gentle and elegant. He was also wearing a bracelet made of soul-sealing magic stone on his wrist. There was no aura at all, just like an ordinary person. However, it did not affect his temperament at all. There were two small things lying on his left and right shoulders. They were two fire pythons. They were very small, about the length of a chopstick. Their fiery red eyes looked extremely lively. Cultivation could not be sensed from them, but they were emitting an invisible pressure that made one's heart palpitate. "There seems to be a fight outside," one of the fire pythons said. It was a woman's voice. "Let them fight. It has nothing to do with us." The middle-aged man in white smiled slightly. "Aren't you curious about who is fighting with the dark guards of the blood hall outside?" The other fire python asked. It was a man's voice that was full of magnetism. "It can't be someone from our rogue cultivator alliance." The middle-aged man in white smiled. This stone room was soundproof and had the ability to isolate aura. Therefore, they could only vaguely feel that there was a fight outside. Not necessarily. When the Blood Hall Master asked you to help set up a barrier in the Nine Dragon Mountain range last time, didn't he say that Old Man Ye's disciple came from the Eastern Continent? Could it be this child? The two fire pythons guessed. Who knows? The middle-aged man in white shook his head. But then again, what the hell is this Old Man Ye doing? He caused us to be like this back then, and now he let this disciple come to the Western Continent. Could it be that he was ordered by Old Man Ye to eliminate the root of the problem? The female fire python said suspiciously. If that's the case, then the cooperation between Old Man Ye and the Blood Hall shouldn't be as smooth as we thought. The middle-aged man in white chuckled. Of course, Old Man Ye wants to get rid of us, but the Blood Hall refuses to kill us and wants us to surrender. For Old Man Ye, we are naturally a potential threat. When he plotted against us back then, I'm afraid he didn't expect things to develop to this point. The male fire python sneered with a strong sense of sarcasm in his tone. Suddenly, the middle-aged man in white raised his head and looked up. There seemed to be a very strong aura coming towards them. Outside, Qin Feiyang had already reached the bottom of the ocean and was only 100 feet away from the stone chamber. Behind him, the world-extinguishing thunder light was also rushing over with a murderous aura. Let's see where you can run to. In the sky, Wang Changyuan sneered, but suddenly, he noticed that there seemed to be something wrong with the stone room that was covered in mud. Not good. Following closely, his face changed as he tried to control the world-extinguishing thunder light. However, it was too late. Whether it was for Qin Feiyang or the world-destroying thunder light, the distance of 100 feet was just a matter of a moment. When he reached the stone chamber, Qin Feiyang suddenly disappeared, and the world-extinguishing lightning directly bombarded the stone chamber. Rumble. Accompanied by an earth-shaking explosion, the stone room was torn apart. That was right. This was Qin Feiyang's plan. Borrowing power. Borrowing Wang Changyuan's power to break open the stone chamber. Because this stone chamber was supported by Wang Changyuan's power of law, Wang Changyuan's power could definitely break it open easily. Not to mention, this was the supreme meaning of the law of thunder. As long as Wang Changyuan did not detect his purpose in advance, it would be effortless. As expected, when the world-extinguishing thunder light bombarded the stone chamber immediately cracked open, and the middle-aged man in white immediately appeared. Not good. Wang Changyuan saw the middle-aged man in white break out, and his face suddenly changed. He quickly rushed towards the middle-aged man in white. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air again, looked up at Wang Changyuan and laughed. Thank you for helping to break open the stone chamber. Bastard, I'll kill you. Wang Changyuan was furious. At the same time, the middle-aged man in white and the two fire pythons on his shoulders looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. Could this kid be Old Man Ye's disciple? Qin Feiyang turned his head to look at the middle-aged man in white and asked, You are the leader? Yes. The middle-aged man in white nodded. Junior Qin Feiyang greets the leader. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and saluted. Qin Feiyang, the leader whispered. It was a very unfamiliar name, but this courage in the face of danger was admirable. Qin Feiyang said, Leader, we'll talk about the details later. Let's deal with this Wang Changyuan first. I can't deal with him now. The leader shook his head. And? Qin Feiyang frowned slightly. Only then did he notice that the leader did not have the slightest aura, and he was also wearing a bracelet on his hand. It seemed that this person's Sea of Qi had also been destroyed. But it didn't matter. He had a way to quickly repair the leader's Sea of Qi. So this is the plan. Save the leader so that he can kill me. Unfortunately, you still missed out one thing. His Sea of Qi has been destroyed. Wang Changyuan laughed and rushed forward. But at the same time, with a wave of his hand, Qin Feiyang brought the leader along and disappeared without a trace. Wang Changyuan was stunned for a moment. Then his divine sense swept out, locking onto the black tortoise world. The lightning law's highest profundity appeared once again, blasting towards the black tortoise world. However, even the highest profundity did not cause any damage to the black tortoise world. Although the black tortoise world's vitality was greatly damaged after the battle on White Crane Island, the black tortoise world's toughness did not weaken at all, still as tough as a sovereign weapon. Therefore, only a sovereign weapon could threaten the black tortoise world. In the Devil's Land, the moment Qin Feiyang appeared with the leader, he waved his hand and broke the leader's bracelet. Looking down at the courtyard, he said, Lord Wife, quickly come out. Whoosh. Before he finished speaking, the mermaid princess flew out from the courtyard, landing in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang pointed at the leader and the two fire pythons on his shoulder, saying, Quickly help them repair their Sea of Qi. Okay. The mermaid princess nodded and activated her fighting soul. A majestic life force suddenly surged out, merging into the bodies of the leader and the two fire pythons. At the same time, she activated the law of life. The life force contained within was several times stronger than the life force of the fighting soul. Whether it was the leader or the two fire pythons, their shattered sea of chi began to repair at a speed visible to the naked eye. This is the law of life. The leader and the two fire pythons felt the terrifying life force, and their faces were filled with shock. At the same time, Qin Feiyong also looked at the mermaid princess, a trace of a smile on his face. With this little girl around, he did not have to worry about being injured in the battle outside, because whether it was the fighting soul or the law of life, both could help him heal his injuries. Moreover, the healing effect far exceeded that of the divine life pill. It could be said that the two were not on the same level. Boom! In less than 10 breaths, the sea of chi of the leader and the two fire pythons were restored to their original state, and a powerful aura spread out. One had to know that they were complete sovereigns, and yet they were able to repair their sea of chi so quickly. If it were Qin Feiyong, he might be able to do it in 2 to 3 breaths. The effect was too shocking. More than 10 breaths in the Black Tortoise world was less than an instant outside. Seeing that he could not break the Black Tortoise world, Wang Changyuan decisively took out the Divine Sound Transmission Stone and prepared to send a message to the Blood Hall Master. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura descended. Wang Changyuan quivered and quickly looked at the void in front of him, only to see 2 figures appear out of thin air. It was Qin Feiyong and the Alliance leader. The 2 fire pythons were still lying on the Alliance leader's shoulder, but there was a trace of murderous intent in their eyes. How is this possible? Their sea of chi has been repaired so quickly? Wang Changyuan looked at the Alliance leader and the 2 fire pythons, and his face turned pale. Old Wang, you have taken good care of us all these years. Tell us, how should we repay you? The Alliance master chuckled like a scholar. He appeared amiable and courteous. However, both Wang Changyuan and Qin Feiyong, who was beside him, could feel a chill from him. Whoosh! Wang Changyuan turned around and began to flee. The Alliance leader shook his head and smiled. Waves of space-time laws spread out, and as he took a step forward, he appeared in front of Wang Changyuan in the next instant. This is crossing space-time, Qin Feiyong mumbled. It felt as if the Alliance leader had merged with space-time, and he could not catch his tracks at all. Old Wang, why are you running? Stay and chat with me. The Alliance leader smiled. What do we have to chat about? Wang Changyuan turned and fled in another direction. Whoosh! However, at this moment, the female fire python rushed out and blocked in front of Wang Changyuan. She smiled and said, "We are so familiar with each other. Why don't we have anything to talk about?" Wang Changyuan's expression changed, and he fled in another direction. However, the male fire python also rushed out like lightning and blocked in front of him. Immediately, the man and the 2 beasts formed a triangle, with Wang Changyuan in the middle. Wang Changyuan was extremely frightened. He was also puzzled. How could they repair their energy reserves so quickly? Old Wang, tell us, how should we thank you for your care all these years? The Alliance leader spoke again. Fuck off, I'll take you down with me. Wang Changyuan roared. The supreme law of thunder appeared, and he attacked the Alliance leader crazily. Die with you? The Alliance leader murmured and laughed. You seem to be a little too naive. The Alliance leader raised his hand and the void in front of him collapsed, turning into an ice crystal-like arrow. It was dazzling and shot toward the world-destroying thunder. Following a loud explosion, the world-exterminating lightning that caused Qin Feiyong and the others to despair appeared to be unable to withstand a single blow. In an instant, it was turned into ashes by the sharp arrow. So powerful? Is this the supreme law of space-time? Qin Feiyong stared at the ice crystal-like arrow in shock. Whoosh! The ice crystal-like arrow did not stop at all. As if it had traveled through time and space, it instantly swept to the spot between Wang Changyuan's eyebrows. The flesh between Wang Changyuan's eyebrows was immediately shattered, and a sense of danger surged from his divine soul. Alliance leader, please show mercy. Qin Feiyong hurriedly shouted. The Alliance leader waved his hand and the ice crystal-like arrow stopped between Wang Changyuan's eyebrows. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Chapter 33:22. At the same time, The two divine pythons also looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. Even Wang Changyuan was bewildered. Qin Feiyang was actually pleading for him? What did he mean? But at this moment, he did not dare to act rashly because the ice crystal arrow was hanging between his eyebrows. If he dared to move, the Alliance Master would definitely kill him without hesitation. Qin Feiyang looked at Wang Changyuan and walked to the Alliance Master. He said in a low voice, "This person is useful to me. Just crush his energy reserve." Useful? The Alliance Master looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Seeing that Qin Feiyang had no intention to explain, he shook his head and smiled. "Okay, since you saved us, I promise you." After saying that, he waved his hand and the ice crystal arrow appeared in front of Wang Changyuan's lower abdomen as if it had traveled through time. Then, the ice crystal arrow pierced through Wang Changyuan's lower abdomen, leaving a small bloody hole. Puff! Wang Changyuan spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura quickly dissipated. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang looked at the Alliance Master and said gratefully. Then, he walked to Wang Changyuan and took the divine voice-transmitting stone and the interspatial ring. Wang Changyuan stared at Qin Feiyang and said gloomily, "A warrior prefers death to humiliation. Qin Feiyang, no matter what you want to do, I will not let you down. No matter what you do, I will not let you get what you want." That may not be true. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and waved his hand to send Wang Changyuan to the soul-sealing valley. Xingda looked at Wang Changyuan, who suddenly appeared with a trace of surprise on his face. At the same time, Wang Changyuan looked at Xingda and frowned. But when he saw the soul-sealing valley below, his face turned green. When Qin Feiyang and the Blood Hall Master were communicating, he was at the side, so he knew where this place was. "Xingda, don't torture him. Let him quietly watch Pei Wanli and the others bathe below." Qin Feiyang's voice sounded in Xingda's mind. Yes. Boss Xing secretly acknowledged and then ignored Wang Changyuan. He thought to himself that this young master was indeed powerful. Even Wang Changyuan had been captured. Seeing that Boss Xing was ignoring him, Wang Changyuan felt even more uneasy. How was Boss Xing going to deal with him? Outside, Qin Feiyang put away Wang Changyuan's Cosmos Ring and the divine voice-transmitting stone. He turned to look at the Alliance Master and the two divine pythons. The Alliance Master and the two great pythons were also sizing up Qin Feiyang. Although this was the first time they had met, and although Qin Feiyang's cultivation was only at the initial stage of the sovereign realm, when they looked at each other face to face, he actually felt a sense of oppression coming from him. Whoosh! Suddenly, the two pythons teleported and surrounded Qin Feiyang from the front and back. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He looked at the two beasts suspiciously. The two beasts remained silent, their eyes filled with killing intent. "You are the Vice Alliance Master's disciple?" the Alliance head asked.
Yes.
Qin Feiyang nodded. "Vice Alliance Master sent you to the Western continent?" the Alliance head asked again.
Yes.
Qin Feiyang nodded again. This old man really doesn't give up. The two great pythons raised their eyebrows. Doesn't give up? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. The male fire python sneered. "Didn't the Vice Alliance Master send you to the Western continent to get rid of us?" "Get rid of you?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He shook his head and said, "You really have misunderstood. Master sent me to the Western continent to rescue you." "Rescue us?" The Alliance head and the two great pythons were taken aback. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Didn't the Blood Hall tell you about the current situation in the Eastern continent?" "No. We have been imprisoned. Although the Blood Hall has been polite to us, they have never told us about the situation outside. We only know that a disciple of the Vice Alliance Master has come to the Western continent." The Alliance head shook his head. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, "Have you seen the people imprisoned next to you?" "We know of their existence, but we have never seen them face to face," the Alliance head said. Qin Feiyang came to a realization and said, "Looks like you all have been living days cut off from the world these few years. Don't talk nonsense. Just now, you said that the Vice Alliance Master sent you to save us. What is going on?" The two pythons urged. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Master did do a lot of wrong things in the past, but now he has repented and turned over a new leaf. Repented and turned over a new leaf? The Alliance head and the two pythons were stunned. That's right. Master knows that he has wronged you, so he asked me to save you. Qin Feiyang nodded. You must be fooling us. He is such an ambitious person. How can he turn over a new leaf? The two pythons didn't believe it. The human heart is made of flesh. As long as you persuade him with reason, move him with emotion, and forgive him, he will be moved by you. Of course. I know that no matter what I say, you won't believe me. I have a very persuasive witness here. Let him tell you personally. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, the fire dragon appeared with a thought. Hualong was in the midst of comprehending the power of laws. Seeing that he was suddenly pulled out by Qin Feiyang, he couldn't help but crawl to his feet in anger. He said, Brother Qin, although the Black Tortoise world is your territory, can you respect me a little and inform me in advance if there's anything you need? See for yourself. Qin Feiyang pointed at the Alliance head and the two pythons. The fire dragon was slightly stunned. He looked at the two pythons, and his expression froze. When he looked at the Alliance head, his expression froze again. Could it be that he was seeing things? It rubbed its eyes hard and looked at them again. Suddenly, it was ecstatic and roared, Dad, Mom, you're back? The two fire pythons looked at the fire dragon in shock. What was wrong with this little guy? Why did he blindly recognize his parents? However, why did this aura feel a little familiar? Hey, it's me, your child. Can't you recognize me? The fire dragon saw this and shouted unhappily. What? You are our child. The two pythons looked at each other. The Alliance head also looked at the fire dragon with a puzzled expression. Although the fire dragon had transformed into a divine dragon, his aura was still somewhat similar to before. Damn, what's wrong with you? How many years has it been? You can't even recognize your own child. If I knew this, I wouldn't have let Qin Feiyang save you. The fire dragon looked unhappy. It's really you? The two pythons looked at the fire dragon. Nonsense. Who else can it be? The fire dragon was speechless. What kind of parents were they? They even doubted their own son standing in front of them. Besides, although his appearance had changed greatly, he still had his previous aura. They could tell from his aura. No. When did you transform into a divine dragon? In fact, the two pythons already believed it, but the fire dragon's current appearance made it difficult for them to accept it. A few years ago. This is all thanks to Brother Qin. Hualong stood up like a human and put his arm around Qin Feiyang's shoulder. He said, If it wasn't for Brother Qin and Little Madman's help, I would have lost my life under the heavenly tribulation. The two pythons looked at Qin Feiyang with a trace of suspicion in their eyes. At the same time, there was also a trace of gratitude. Old man, what are you still standing there for? Brother Qin is your savior. Hurry up and thank him. Don't think that just because you are the Alliance head of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance, saving you is natural. If you really do that, even if Brother Qin agrees, I won't. The fire dragon looked at the Alliance head and shouted. The corner of the Alliance head's mouth twitched and he said speechlessly, I can conclude that you are that little bastard. You are the bastard. Your whole family are bastards. The fire dragon cursed. Cough, cough. The fire python couple coughed and scolded, Brat, you have already transformed into a divine dragon and you are still so rude. Do you believe that I will beat you up? Can you bear to beat me up? The fire dragon chuckled. Looking at the fire dragon's fearless attitude, the fire python couple smiled bitterly. Then, they looked at Qin Feiyang and said apologetically, Sorry, I misunderstood you just now. It's okay. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. The Alliance head walked to Qin Feiyang and said, Then tell me what happened during this period of time. You tell me. Qin Feiyang looked at the fire dragon and laughed. The fire dragon looked at Qin Feiyang, then looked at the Alliance head and the fire python couple, and immediately beamed with joy. You guys don't know how awesome this little brother of mine is, then? The fire dragon told them everything that happened at the exchange conference in White Crane Island. After hearing this, the Alliance head and the fire python couple were all stunned. killing the great deacon, destroying the sovereign divine weapon, forcing Old High to self-destruct. Every single one of these matters could be said to be universally shocking. Even experts of their level could not do it. But now, it had happened to such a little guy? If it wasn't for the fire dragon saying it himself, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. After the fire dragon finished speaking, Qin Feiyong added, "And the Dark Guard commander, a few days ago, he also died in our hands." What? The Alliance head and the fire python couple's eyes trembled. A great deacon and a Dark Guard commander, both of whom were the highest level figures in the Blood Hall, had died in the hands of this kid. Terrifying, truly terrifying. No wonder when he saw this kid come to the Western continent, the Blood Hall master acted as if he was facing a great enemy. He even put down his face and begged him to help set up a protective barrier in the Nine Dragon Mountain range. That's about the situation. I also have a presumptuous request. Qin Feiyong looked at the Alliance head and the fire python couple and said. The Alliance head thought for a moment, then asked, "It's for your master, right?"
Yes.
Qin Feiyong nodded. The Alliance head pondered for a moment, then smiled and said, "Since he has repented, there's no need to be calculative. Besides, you seem to have come to save us now, which can be considered as making up for the mistakes your master has made." "Thank you." Qin Feiyong smiled gratefully. But then again, we're still a little unconvinced. Let's not talk about the hall master of the Mortal Palace. He has always been a good person. But old Yi, that bastard, actually found a disciple like you. It's really unreasonable. The fire python couple said indignantly. Suddenly, they rolled their eyes and looked at Qin Feiyong, then said with a smile, "Qin Feiyong, why don't you change your master and become the Alliance head's personal disciple?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. "Brother Qin, that's a good idea. The Alliance head is much better than old Yi in both strength and status." The fire dragon also egged him on. The Alliance head was stunned at first, and then he began to look forward to it. Who wouldn't be tempted by such an outstanding young man? Chapter 33-23. Change my master's sect? Qin Feiyong looked at the fire dragon and the Shin Meng couple in shock. Wasn't this nonsense? They were all members of the itinerant Cultivator Alliance. Was there a need to do this? Besides, if he really changed his master's sect, how was he going to face the Deputy Alliance Master in the future? Even if the Deputy Alliance Master didn't say anything, others would definitely criticize him behind his back. He wouldn't do such a thing. Moreover, the Deputy Alliance Master changed his mind because of him and even took the initiative to ask to use the slave seal to control him. He was sincere, so he couldn't let him down. With the Alliance Master's eyesight, he was able to tell what Qin Feiyong was thinking with a single glance. Thus, he looked to the Divine Python couple and said with a smile, "Don't mess around. Old Ye's disciple is also equivalent to our disciple. There is no difference." "That may be the case, but I'm afraid that old Ye will mislead others." The Shin Meng couple said, "What do you mean mislead others? Don't talk nonsense. Although old Ye's character was indeed not good in the past, his strength is not weaker than ours. Besides, now that he has turned over a new leaf, there's no need to keep harping on him." The Alliance Master smiled. "Then he has to really turn over a new leaf. There's a good saying that you can't judge a book by its cover. Who knows what he's thinking?" The Shin Meng couple snorted coldly. "Dad, Mom, I can testify to this. He has indeed turned over a new leaf." The fire dragon said, "Huh." The Shin Meng couple looked at him suspiciously. The fire dragon said, "Brother Qin has mastered a kind of control mystic technique, and back then, old Yi actually took the initiative to ask Brother Qin to control him. Isn't this enough to prove it?" "What?" The Shin Meng couple was shocked that there was such a thing. They looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "Did you control him?" "Since Master insists, I can only agree." Qin Feiyong smiled. The Shin Meng couple and the Alliance Master looked at each other. Didn't that mean that the life of the Vice Alliance Master was now in the hands of Qin Feiyong? Although the deputy leader was in the wrong, he was still a member of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and was in charge of all the important matters of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. If Qin Feiyong had any evil intentions, the consequences would be unimaginable. What are you guys thinking? Let me tell you, you can suspect anyone but Brother Qin. All these years, he has been extremely benevolent to our Rogue Cultivator Alliance. It can even be said that if he didn't deal with the Devil Hall, our Independent Cultivator Alliance would have already disappeared from the Eastern continent. The Fire Dragon looked at the Alliance Master and the Shun Meng couple with a dark expression. Cough cough. Alliance Master and Shun Meng coughed dryly and glared at Fire Dragon. What nonsense are you talking about? How could we have any doubts? SK, do you think I don't understand you? Even I know what you're going to do when you stick your butts out. The Fire Dragon's eyes were filled with disdain. The corners of the Alliance Master and the Shun Meng couple's mouths twitched. Qin Feiyang looked at the Fire Dragon and laughed. They don't understand the situation, so it's normal for them to suspect my character. Brother, you're magnanimous. The Fire Dragon gave a thumbs up, then looked at the Alliance Master and the couple, and said disdainfully, Are you guys ashamed? To actually suspect your own savior, don't think that I can't afford to lose face, let alone knowing me. The Alliance Master and the Shun Meng couple became more and more embarrassed, and they were also extremely angry in their hearts. This little bastard, couldn't he leave them some face? Qin Feiyang also admired the Fire Dragon's mouth. Even his own biological parents were mercilessly criticized and criticized. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang looked at the Alliance Master and said, This disciple has a question. What question? The Alliance Master asked with a smile. Did you create the 9 Dragon Mountain Ranges barrier? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. The Alliance Master nodded. Why are you helping them? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Of course I can't help them willingly. The Alliance Master smiled, then looked at the Shun Meng couple and said, But the Blood Hall used their lives to threaten me, so I had to do this. So that's the case. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. It seemed that this person was also a person who valued friendship and righteousness. Then he said, Then what's next? Are you guys going back to the Eastern continent, or? What about you? The Alliance Master asked. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, and then a cold light flashed in his eyes and said, The trap I set up is not over yet. What do you want to do? The Alliance Master asked. 3 days later, I will go to the Blood Hall to make a deal. The Blood Hall wants to take this opportunity to get rid of me, but at the same time, I am also waiting for this opportunity to get rid of them. In this battle, let's see who's stronger. Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with killing intent. Deal? The Alliance Master and the Shun Meng couple looked at him suspiciously. Fire Dragon said with a sneaky smile, You guys don't know, but now the families of the Blood Hall's big shots are in Brother Qin's hands. What? The Alliance Master and the Shun Meng couple were stunned, somewhat in disbelief. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded with a smile and said, Originally, these people were used to exchange for you guys, but now, it seems that there is no need. Then what are you going to do with them? The Alliance Master asked. This little guy's ability was really beyond imagination. He actually kidnapped the families of the Blood Hall's big shots. Wasn't this equivalent to grabbing their throats and making them hesitate? Although there is no need to exchange for them, they are still valuable. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. So 3 days later, you are going to go to war with the Blood Hall? The Alliance Master asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Go to war. The Alliance Master pondered. What's there to think about? Over the years, they have been tormenting us a lot. This time, it's time to settle the score with them. The Shun Meng couple sneered. The Alliance Master glanced at them and thought for a while, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, How about this? I will go back to the Eastern continent first. I have been away for so many years, I don't know if there are any changes now. This is your freedom. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. But don't worry, 3 days later, I will bring people to support you. The Alliance Master smiled. Thank you. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and thanked him. He was waiting for the Alliance Master to say this. With the help of the Alliance Master, the odds of winning were undoubtedly higher. Moreover, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was not enough. He had to contact the Demon Palace. In short, this time, if possible, he wanted to completely destroy the Blood Hall. As the Alliance Master waved his hand, a space-time passage appeared immediately. Let's go. Seeing that the fire dragon was still standing beside Qin Feiyang, the Shun Meng couple urged. The fire dragon waved his claws and said, "You guys go back. I will follow Brother Qin." Huh. The Shin Meng couple was stunned. The Alliance Master glanced at the fire dragon and Qin Feiyang, then looked at the Shun Meng couple and said with a smile, "The child has grown up and has his own judgment. As an adult, don't interfere. Let's go." When the Shin Meng couple heard this, they glared fiercely at the fire dragon. Stinking brat. His wings had hardened, and he didn't even want his own parents anymore. Besides, after not seeing each other for so many years, shouldn't they get together? Talk? But this kid didn't have that intention at all. He even had an indifferent attitude. How could he give birth to such a white-eyed wolf? After the Alliance Master and the fire dragon couple left, Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. He looked at the fire dragon and said, "You should go back with them." Since he was young, he had spent less time with his parents, so he understood how the Shin Meng couple felt. It wasn't easy for them to escape. They originally wanted to have a good gathering with their child, but in the end, the child was unwilling to leave with an outsider. As parents, they would definitely be very disappointed. It doesn't matter. Anyway, when they were in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, we were rarely together. The fire dragon waved his hand indifferently. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. He glanced at the sea below and brought the fire dragon to the sky above the Devil's Land. "Old Qin, how did you break the stone room outside just now?" The madman, the white-eyed wolf, and a group of secret guards immediately surrounded him. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. At that time, Qin Feiyang sent them to the Black Tortoise world and stayed outside alone. They thought that Qin Feiyang was seeking his own death, but they didn't expect that not long after, he brought the Alliance Master and the Shun Meng couple to the Black Tortoise world. Borrowing force, Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and briefly explained the situation. After listening, the madman and the white-eyed wolf revealed a look of realization. So that's the case. But the group of secret guards all revealed a look of admiration. The situation at that time could be said to be extremely urgent. Under such circumstances, the young master could actually come up with such a wonderful idea? This kind of calm mentality was really scary. This time, they were completely convinced. It was not unreasonable for the Blood Hall to repeatedly suffer in the hands of the young master. What about the Alliance Master and the others now? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Back to the Eastern continent. Qin Feiyang smiled. They went back just like that? The white-eyed wolf frowned. 3 days later, they will come to support us. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. That's more like it. The white-eyed wolf nodded, then looked at the fire dragon and said unhappily, "Then why are you still following us? Don't tell this big brother that you want to rely on us in the future." "So what if I rely on you? If you have the ability, kick me out." The fire dragon looked at him smugly. "Huh, you still dare to be arrogant in front of this big brother?" The white-eyed wolf suddenly rubbed his hands with evil intentions. The fire dragon's pupils shrank, and he hurriedly turned around and ran. What a joke! In the Black Tortoise world, who could beat this wolf cub? When he thought of the two profound skills that it had mastered, he could not help but feel his scalp go numb. Running? The white-eyed wolf smiled disdainfully, activated instant time, and caught up with the fire dragon in an instant. With a slap of his claws, a big bump appeared on the fire dragon's head. "Big brother, let's talk nicely. Be gentle." The fire dragon looked at the white-eyed wolf with tears in his eyes. "It's no use calling me big brother." The white-eyed wolf snorted. "Then what do you want?" The fire dragon felt wronged. The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes and said indifferently, "From now on, you will be this big brother's little follower." "Little follower? Are you kidding me? Do you believe that I won't ask my parents to come and destroy you?" The fire dragon said angrily, "Then I will destroy you first." The white-eyed wolf waved his claws with a fierce look. "No, no, no. Isn't it just a little follower? It is my honor." The fire dragon hurriedly waved his claws and smiled flatteringly. "That's more like it. I will give you a mission. Later, go and get the white jade Qilin, black dragon, fire Luan. In short, Call all the beasts and divine beasts in the devil's land to this big brother. This big brother wants to teach them a good lesson about who is the boss here. The white-eyed wolf said proudly. Okay. The fire dragon nodded and bowed. He really played the role of a little follower to the fullest. Chapter 33:24. The group of dark guards looked at the white-eyed wolf with envy in their eyes. They didn't know before, but now they knew that the white-eyed wolf had plundered the dark guard commander and the great Deacon's Law force. This kind of supernatural power was both scary and enviable. However, what made them envious the most was that the white-eyed wolf had Qin Feiyong and the madman as his brothers. Otherwise, even if he had this kind of supernatural power, he wouldn't be able to find such good prey. White-eyed wolf, don't be in a hurry to show off. Come with me to the soul-sealing valley. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he waved his hand and brought the madman, the white-eyed wolf, a group of dark guards, and the two dark guards whose Sea of Qi had been destroyed, to the soul-sealing valley. As for the fire dragon, he didn't bring him along. Soul-sealing valley. Xingda stood in the sky expressionlessly. Below, Pei Wanli and the others had stopped struggling and were lying in the cesspool like dead dogs. Wang Changyuan had been standing beside Xingda. Every time he lowered his head and saw the fate of Pei Wanli and the others, he couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. Swish! Qin Feiyong and the others appeared. Looking at the soul-sealing valley below, the group of dark guards couldn't help but turn pale. Young master. Xingda immediately bowed. Qin Feiyong nodded and said with a smile, "Let me tell you a piece of good news. The alliance leader and the Shen Meng couple have been rescued." Really? Xingda was surprised, and Qin Feiyong nodded. That's great. As long as they are fine, the deputy alliance leader can rest assured. Xingda was ecstatic and then asked, "Then where are they now?" "They went back to the eastern continent." Qin Feiyong smiled. Back to the eastern continent? When Xingda heard this, the joy on his face disappeared and he frowned. "Are you worried that they will settle the score with Master?" Qin Feiyong asked. And Xingda didn't deny it. "Don't worry, I have already explained it to them. They also said that they won't pursue it." Qin Feiyong smiled. Xingda was stunned. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyong. He bowed and said, "Thank you, young lord." Although Qin Feiyong was the Vice Alliance leader's disciple, the Vice Alliance leader had never done anything for Qin Feiyong. Instead, it was Qin Feiyong who had been running around tirelessly for the Vice Alliance leader. Sometimes, even he felt that the Vice Alliance leader was too lucky to have found such an outstanding disciple. "We're all on the same side. Why are you thanking me?" Qin Feiyong glared at him with dissatisfaction. Xingda scratched his head and laughed dryly as he looked at Qin Feiyong, appearing charmingly naive. It was rare to see such an expression on Boss Xing's face. Qin Feiyong smiled and turned to look at Wang Changyuan. Wang Changyuan's pupils shrank and his face was filled with fear. The white-eyed wolf looked at him mockingly and said, "Weren't you quite arrogant when you were outside? Why are you behaving like a kitten now?" Wang Changyuan felt bitter in his heart. How could he be arrogant in this soul-sealing valley? If he dared to be arrogant, it would be the fate of Pei Wanli and the others. He would rather die than go down to the bathtub. Qin Feiyong smiled and asked, "White-eyed wolf, what do you think? Do you want to rob him of his lightning law?" "Rob me of my lightning law." Wang Changyuan's gaze trembled slightly as he looked at the white-eyed wolf in shock. The white-eyed wolf looked at Wang Changyuan and felt really conflicted. If he could rob this person of his lightning law, he would be able to break through to the initial imperishable realm and grasp the three supreme profound meanings. However, although the lightning law was very powerful, it was still not an ultimate law. If he could fuse with the power of laws infinitely, he would definitely choose to rob without hesitation. However, the problem was that he only had 6 chances to fuse with it. Every time he used it, he would have one less chance. "Brother Wolf, don't be so greedy. It's so great to get a supreme profound for free. We want it even in our dreams. So there's no need to find an ultimate law for all of them," Frenzy advised. The group of dark guards also nodded in agreement. "You can't wait for me to rob him of his lightning law, right?" Otherwise, when I find 6 ultimate laws, you won't be my opponent." The white-eyed wolf glared at Frenzy. "Who do you think I am? Although I am indeed a little envious, do you think I will be jealous of you?" Frenzy suddenly looked unhappy. "Be careful." The ingrate looked at Wang Chongyuan in disdain. After sizing him up for a moment, he shook his head and said, "Forget it. I'll keep it for now. When I really can't find any other supreme laws of nature in the future, I'll plunder his thunder laws of nature." "What do you mean? Are you keeping me as a lab rat?" Wang Chongyuan was stunned. "That's right. You are a lab rat. When I'm in a bad mood, I will use you as an example. So, if you want to live, you have to perform well." The white-eyed wolf smirked. Wang Chongyuan's face suddenly turned pale as he roared, "You guys should just kill me and give me a quick death." "You still want a quick death? Let me tell you, if you fall into our hands, you don't even have the right to choose death. I will leave first. You guys chat." After saying that, the white-eyed wolf activated momentary time and instantly disappeared without a trace. A greedy snake swallows an elephant. Frenzy snorted coldly. "I am quite supportive of it. Since there is such an opportunity, we naturally have to choose the best." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Yes, I also want to let it fuse with all of its ultimate laws. But the key is, where are we going to find so many ultimate laws for it? It has already mastered the time law and death law. As for the remaining giants of Bloodhall, Old High and Bloodhall Master, they have mastered the space-time law and the time law respectively. It already has the time law and can't fuse with it anymore. In other words, only Old High's space-time law is useful to it now. At that time, even if we help it fuse with Old High's space-time law, it will still lack 3 ultimate laws. Where are we going to find these 3? It's impossible to find Demon Hall Master and plunder her cause and effect law. As for Holy Temple and Deity's Templar, for now, they have no enmity with us. It's not good to make a move on them." Madman rubbed his forehead. In fact, this wasn't the main point. The main point was that those who possess the ultimate laws are basically giants. If you want to plunder their power, you will inevitably provoke a major force. In other words, every time you plunder an ultimate law, you will face a difficult battle. Facing Bloodhall already made you feel tired. If you provoke other forces, isn't that just asking for trouble? Let's take it slow. Besides Holy Temple, Deity's Templar, and Demon Hall, there might be others. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. "Others?" Madman was taken aback. "Have you never thought about where Ice Dragon's lair is?" Qin Feiyang said. "Ice Dragon," Madman muttered. "Sky Cloud Realm. Perhaps it isn't as simple as everyone thinks." Qin Feiyang smiled meaningfully. He looked at the 2 secret guards whose Sea of Qi had been destroyed and said with a smile, "Come here." Hearing this, the 2 hurriedly ran to Qin Feiyang. "Want to go down and play?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. The 2 looked at Soul Sealing Valley and shook their heads. Only ghosts would want to go down and play. No, even ghosts would feel their scalp tingle when they see this place. Qin Feiyang said, "Your cultivation isn't weak. I will give you a chance to submit to me and work for me." Hearing this, the 2 shadow guards couldn't help but look at Wang Chongyuan. "Don't look at him, and don't worry about his threats. Here, other than me, no one can threaten you. Submit to me, and I will give you good fortune. As for what good fortune, I won't reveal it for the time being, but it will definitely affect your life. As for not submitting, I believe I don't need to say it. You should know the consequences. I will give you 3 breaths of time. Make your choice." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. The 2 looked at each other. A good fortune that could affect their life? Was there such a thing in the world? One must know that they were all Great Perfection Dominator Realm and had basically reached the peak of the Sky Cloud Realm. Unless they were given the strongest law, Supreme Profound, or Ultimate Profound, they would not be able to progress at all. However, things like law and profound divine ability were not things that others could give them. But looking at Qin Feiyang's attitude and tone, it didn't seem like he was lying to them. Wait. Suddenly, they looked at the middle-aged man and the other shadow guards. Could it be that these people joined Qin Feiyang because of this mysterious good fortune? 3 breaths of time, Qin Feiyang said. We submit. The two came back to their senses and looked at each other again. At the same time, they knelt in front of Qin Feiyang and bowed. Greetings, young master. You. Wang Changyuan looked at the two of them angrily. Wang Changyuan, don't stare at them. Although we are the Blood Hall Shadow Guards, we also have the right to choose. That's right, we are not dogs, but humans. Think about it. What did the big shots treat us all these years in the Blood Hall? They completely treated us as obedient dogs. But now, it's different. After meeting the young master, we finally found our dignity as humans. Moreover, the young master not only gave us dignity, but also gave us hope to live and a goal to strive for. The middle-aged man and the other shadow guards looked at Wang Changyuan coldly. You have all been brainwashed by him. With his little strength, what hope can he give you? What goal can he give you? Wang Changyuan looked at the group of people in disbelief. He originally thought that these people were forced to submit, but he didn't expect that they were all willing. Brainwashed? Are you stupid? We are great perfection dominators. How can we be brainwashed by others? The group of shadow guards despised. Looking at the attitude of the group of shadow guards, the 2 shadow guards kneeling in front of Qin Feiyang became more and more certain that their choice was definitely not wrong. Get up. Qin Feiyang smiled. Hearing this, the 2 stood up. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and 2 slavery seals appeared. He smiled and said, It's impossible for me to trust you now. So, don't resist. After saying this, the 2 slavery seals flew toward the top of the 2's heads. Not to mention whether they had any thoughts of resisting, the middle-aged man and the others were glaring at them from the side. They didn't dare to resist, because anyone could see that these shadow guards had sincerely submitted to Qin Feiyang. If they dared to resist, he would definitely attack them without hesitation. The slavery seals were quickly completed. Qin Feiyang looked at Wang Changyuan and said with a smile, What about you? Do you choose to submit or die? I won't force you. Think about it carefully. You still have 3 breaths of time. Hearing this, Wang Changyuan immediately struggled in his heart. Chapter 33:25. If he submitted to Qin Feiyang, the Blood Hall wouldn't let him go. If he didn't submit, Qin Feiyang wouldn't let him go either. Since there was only death left and right, he might as well die. But now, he didn't even have the right to choose death. It was really sad to be in such a sullen position. 3 breaths of time, Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Wang Changyuan quivered, raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. If I submit to you, then Wolf King won't deprive me of the Law of Thunder, right? I can't guarantee that, because it depends on your performance. Qin Feiyang shook his head. In the end, I'll still be kept like a lab rat. Wang Changyuan whispered, If you submit, you might still be able to get rid of the fate of a lab rat. But if you don't submit, then you'll really be a lab rat, right? There's something I haven't told you yet. The Dark Guard commander has died in our hands. The white-eyed wolf has fused with his law of time. Qin Feiyang chuckled. What? Wang Changyuan's eyes trembled. The Dark Guard commander was already dead? So you should be glad that you have mastered the supreme profound of the Law of Thunder, and not the supreme profound of the strongest law. Otherwise, you would be a corpse now. Qin Feiyang said and shouted. Give me an answer immediately. Wang Changyuan closed his eyes in pain, and his hands were tightly clenched together. Just as Qin Feiyang's killing intent appeared, his tightly clenched hands slowly loosened, and at the same time, he slowly opened his eyes. His expression was powerless and desperate as he lowered his head and said, I submit. Qin Feiyang smiled. With a wave of his hand, a slave seal appeared and entered Wang Changyuan's head like lightning. After the control was completed, Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, Don't look like you're dying. How many people want to follow me? I don't even like them. Wang Changyuan smiled disapprovingly. You still don't believe me? Qin Feiyang looked at the Dark Guards and said, Take off your clothes. Ah, all of them. The middle-aged man looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. Is there a problem? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The middle-aged man hesitated for a while, then pointed at the people beside him and said, "Young master, it's fine even if we strip naked. But these woman? Qin Feiyong was stunned. He looked at the group of people and saw that some of them were lowering their heads and blushing. These were all women. Sorry. Qin Feiyong patted his head and hurriedly smiled apologetically at those women. How could he forget that there were quite a few women among the dark guards? Asking them to take off their clothes in public, wouldn't that be cough? In short, it was very awkward. Wang Changyuan and the two shadow guards looked at Qin Feiyong and the others suspiciously. Why did they ask them to take off their clothes? Cough. Qin Feiyong coughed dryly and said, "Take off all the men's clothes." At that moment, the group of men directly took off their clothes. Wang Changyuan and the other two were even more puzzled. The middle-aged man said proudly, "Look clearly what's on our chests." Chests? The three of them were stunned and immediately looked at the chests of the group of people. Immediately, the three of them were surprised. Why did they have a mark on their bodies? "Do you feel that it's very familiar?" The middle-aged man asked. "Is it familiar?" The three of them looked at each other and took a closer look. Indeed, it seemed to be somewhat familiar. Wait a minute. This seems to be, suddenly. Wang Changyuan's eyes trembled. He stared at the potential marks and his face was full of disbelief. That's right. This is the mark of the Gate of Potential. We have all opened the first 3 levels of the Gate of Potential. This is the good fortune that young master mentioned. How is it? Now tell us, is this the hope of living and the goal to strive for? The middle-aged man sneered. Gate of Potential. The three of them were completely stunned. Although they had only opened the first 3 levels of the Gate of Potential, it was already shocking enough. How did Qin Feiyong do it? The reaction of the three of them was not beyond Qin Feiyong's expectation. Not to mention them, even a big shot like the Hall Master of Blood Hall would have the same reaction when he saw this scene. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyong looked at the middle-aged man and the group of people and said with a smile, "When we were fighting outside, your performance was very good. At least you didn't abandon me and run for your lives. Later, go and find Dan Wangkai and open the 4th, 5th, and 6th levels of the Gate of Potential." Thank you, young master. Hearing this, the group of people's faces were full of joy. Then, they went down on one knee and thanked him gratefully. What? You have a way to open the 4th, 5th, and 6th levels of the Gate of Potential? Wang Changyuan and the other two stared at Qin Feiyong with their mouths agape. Young master's ability is beyond your imagination. Not to mention the 6th level of the Gate of Potential. As long as he is willing, he can open all the gates of potential for us in minutes. The middle-aged man sneered. Open all the gates of potential. The three of them looked at each other in dismay. Then, they became excited. Who didn't want to open the gates of potential? Not to mention opening all the gates of potential. Even if they only opened one gate of potential, there was a huge difference between them and those who didn't. This was especially true for the sovereign realm. This was because the cultivation of the sovereign realm had nothing to do with other things. It was all about comprehending the profundity of the laws. Comprehending the profundity of the laws required one's comprehension ability. The existence of the Gate of Potential could develop one's comprehension ability to the extreme. Using the simplest example, if one needed 10 minutes to comprehend something, after opening the Gate of Potential, one would only need 1 minute to comprehend it. This was the difference. They finally understood why the middle-aged man and the others said that they had found hope in Qin Feiyong and a goal to strive for. This was an opportunity for Sovereign Realm Great Perfection Realm experts like them to be reborn. Young master, we swear that in the future, we will do our best for you until our last breath. This time, even Wang Changyuan knelt down. Moreover, he knelt down willingly. Even a fool would want to grasp such a good fortune, let alone them. Just do your best. There's no need for you to die. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. He looked at the middle-aged man and said, "Tell them the 3 iron rules." Yes. The middle-aged man replied respectfully. He looked at Wang Changyuan and the others and said, "Young master has 3 iron rules. You must remember them. First, you are not allowed to kill the innocent. Second, you are not allowed to bully others. Third, You are not allowed to betray your companions. If you dare to violate these 3 iron rules, you will be killed without mercy. Yes. Wang Changyuan and the others nodded respectfully. Here, you must not have the mentality of being lucky. Whoever dares to violate these 3 iron rules, even if it's the first time, will not be forgiven, Qin Feiyang said. Understood. The 3 of them nodded. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, Get up. Later, go find Dan Wangkai and open the first 3 gates of potential. Only the first 3? The 3 of them were stunned. You guys should be content. When we first came, we only opened the first 3. The middle-aged man snorted. Yes, yes, yes. The 3 of them nodded and did not dare to have any objections. Being able to open the first 3 temporarily was fine. After all, there was still a chance in the future. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent the group to the Devil's Land. He then looked at Pei Wanli and the others below. 57 Dark Guards and 1 Vice Commander. Our strength can be said to have increased by dozens of times overnight. Madman laughed. Isn't this because of young master's brilliant methods? Xingda laughed. You actually laughed? How rare. Madman looked at Xingda in surprise. I am also a person with feelings, okay? Xingda was speechless. What's so strange about smiling as long as you're human? Those who can cultivate to the perfection sovereign realm are all people with extraordinary talent. As long as they open the gates of potential, they will be able to comprehend the supreme profound sooner or later. When they comprehend the supreme profound, that will be the time for them to be truly useful. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at Xingda. Don't you have anything you want to ask? Xingda did not know about this before, but now, he did not seem to be curious at all. Xingda said, Don't ask what you shouldn't ask, don't think about what you shouldn't think about. This is the most basic principle of being a subordinate. When young master wants to say something, he will naturally say it. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. To be honest, this Xingda was really a good person. The more he looked at him, the more satisfied he was. No wonder master trusted him so much. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang decided not to hide it anymore. He smiled and said, Actually, helping them open the gates of potential is not my own ability. I don't have this ability at all. It is because of some pills that can open the gates of potential. Pills? Xingda was stunned and said in surprise, Could it be the legendary first volume of the pill scripture? Qin Feiyang said, I don't know if it is the first volume of the pill scripture, but these pills can indeed open the gates of potential. Xingda was full of surprise. Xingda, this pill that can open the gates of potential is our biggest secret. Even the 2 old men don't know about it, but now we are telling you. Don't let us down, Madman said meaningfully. The 2 old men were naturally referring to the Vice Alliance leader and the Hall of Famers. Xingda's heart trembled. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and Madman and said with a serious expression, Don't worry, I will definitely keep this a secret. Madman laughed. He was a smart person. Qin Feiyang glanced at Xingda and said with a smile, You must be feeling bad about hiding it from master. Xingda nodded. Indeed. Although he was now under orders to protect Qin Feiyang, he was still the Vice Alliance leader's man. He would definitely feel guilty and uneasy about hiding it from the Vice Alliance leader. I will find a chance to tell master and the others in the future. As for Yi Tian, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Madman and asked, Senior brother, do you think we should also help him open the gates of potential? Is there a need to ask? Of course. Madman said without hesitation. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, What happened when the 2 of you went to spar? Why did your relationship suddenly become so good? It's nothing. We just had a fair fight. You know my personality. I don't like ordinary people at all. However, anyone that I like is definitely someone worth befriending. For example, you. Madman chuckled. All right, let's go find Yi Tian now. Also, Xingda, when you are free, go find Dan Wangkai and ask him to help you open all the gates of potential. Qin Feiyang smiled and left with Madman. Open all the gates of potential. Xingda was stunned. He felt as if a pie had fallen from the sky. When he came back to his senses, he bowed deeply to the Devil's Land and thanked the young master. Wang Changyuan and the others opened the gates of potential one by one, but he opened them all at once. From this, it could be seen. Qin Feiyang's trust in him far exceeded Wang Changyuan and the others. He had never thought that one day he would be able to open the gates of potential. This kindness, this trust, he would remember it in his heart for the rest of his life. At the same time, he was also happy for Yi Tian. Yi Tian's talent was already 1 in a million. Now that he had unlocked the door to his potential and was reborn, his future could be said to be broad. Such a Yi Tian could be called the true future star of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Requesting monthly votes, recommendation votes. Chapter 33-26 Devil's Land. When Qin Feiyang found Yi Tian and heard that they were going to help him open the door of potential, Yi Tian's face was filled with disbelief. During his time in the Black Tortoise world, he had always been in closed-door cultivation and had never left the Devil's Land. No one had told him that there were potential pills in the Black Tortoise world, so one could imagine how shocked he was when he found out about this. To him, it was simply a clap of thunder. When he calmed down, he did not act pretentious and calmly accepted Qin Feiyang's kindness. Humans, there was no need to be coy. Just do what you think in your heart. Otherwise, it would only make others think that you are hypocritical. Why are there so many people gathered here? Suddenly, Black Dragon passed by the ancient castle and saw Yi Tian and a group of secret guards surrounding it. His expression was slightly stunned, and then he couldn't help but curiously run in. This. At that moment, Black Dragon was stunned by the scene in front of him. Was this the opening of the door of potential? Bastard! Such a good thing. You actually hid it from me? He angrily cursed and went to find Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang finally had a break and was preparing to cultivate their relationship with the mermaid princess. Hearing Black Dragon's clamor outside, a trace of annoyance appeared on his face. Let's go out and take a look first. There might be something big. Mermaid Princess climbed up from Qin Feiyang's embrace and laughed. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly, got up and tidied his clothes. He opened the door and walked out of the attic. Looking at Black Dragon outside, he suspiciously asked, "Brother Black Dragon, who offended you?" "You." Black Dragon coldly snorted. "Me?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "That's right." Black Dragon nodded and asked, "Let me ask you, how is our relationship?" "Very good. If you have something to say, can you just say it?" Qin Feiyang was very helpless. He was ready to sharpen his spear and fight. How could he have the mood to play games? "Since our relationship is so good, why don't you help me open the door of potential?" Black Dragon angrily said. "This." Qin Feiyang suddenly smiled. "Don't laugh, I'm not messing with you." The Black Dragon glared fiercely at Qin Feiyang. All right. I won't make a fuss. Isn't it just the gate of potential? Let's go find Dan Wangkai and inform the White Jade Qilin, the Fire Dragon, and the Fire Luan. The White Jade Qilin, the Fire Dragon, and the Fire Luan would definitely come looking for him when they heard the news. Therefore, he might as well be straightforward and direct them to find Dan Wangkai, so that he could have some peace and quiet. That's a good brother. The Black Dragon chuckled and immediately turned to fly away. Good brother. Qin Feiyang murmured and shook his head with a smile. Then he turned around and ran into the attic. He closed the door with a bang, rubbed his hands, looked at the mermaid princess, and said with a smile, "My dear wife, prepare to face my anger. You're not serious." The mermaid princess rolled her eyes at him and blushed. The ancient castle. Yi Tian had successfully opened all the doors of potential below the sovereign realm. This made Wang Changyuan and the group of secret guards extremely envious. As for the Black Dragon and Fire Luan, all of their potentials had been opened because they were both perfect sovereigns. However, the White Jade Qilin and the Fire Dragon were extremely depressed because they were both half-step sovereigns. Everyone knew that in order to unlock the door of potential, one had to be at the Great Perfection realm. For example, the Great Perfection Undead realm and the Great Perfection Sovereign realm. But now, the two of them were stuck at the half-step ruler level. They could only watch as the others opened the door to potential. Their hearts were filled with pain. Dan Wangkai. No. Brother Kai, is there really no other way? The two beasts looked at Dan Wonkai pitifully. No. Dan Wonkai shook his head. I don't want to live anymore. Don't stop me, the fire dragon roared. But it seemed that no one was going to stop it. It said angrily, You're really not going to stop me? Can't you be a little sympathetic? No matter how powerful someone is, they can't stop a person who wants to die. But don't worry, after you die, we'll find a good place for you to bury you. Dan Wonkai looked at the fire dragon seriously and said, Get lost. The fire dragon glared at him. What kind of person was this? Dan Wonkai shook his head and laughed. He looked at the white jade Qilin and the fire dragon and thought, Actually, I have an idea, but I don't know if it will work. What idea? The two beasts became spirited. The white-eyed wolf's second innate ability can permanently steal cultivation. If you let him steal one of your cultivation levels and drop to the Great Perfection Undead Realm, you might be able to unlock the door of potential, Dan Wonkai said. Hearing this, the two beasts' expressions froze. I'm just suggesting, because I don't know if dropping one's cultivation level can unlock the door of potential, Dan Wonkai smiled. Isn't this a gamble? The fire dragon frowned. That's right. It is a gamble. If you can unlock the door of potential, even if you lose one of your cultivation levels, it will be worth it. After all, after you unlock the door of potential, both your comprehension and potential will be far better than before, and you will be able to rush up again very quickly. But if you can't unlock the door of potential, then you will lose one of your cultivation levels for nothing. In short, this is a very risky action. It's up to you to decide. After Dan Wonkai finished speaking, he seemed to have thought of something and whispered, But what? The two beasts thought that there was a turning point and couldn't help but look forward to it. Dan Wonkai said, There used to be a guy beside us who destroyed his own cultivation in order to unlock the door of potential. Later, he successfully opened the door of potential. Who is it? So ruthless to himself. The two looked at each other, their eyes full of shock. In order to unlock the door of potential, he actually chose to destroy his cultivation. This wasn't something an ordinary person could do. A guy called Black Dragon Snake. Since it can successfully unlock the door of potential by destroying its cultivation and cultivating again, then you should be able to succeed too, Dan Wonkai said with uncertainty. Because destroying one's cultivation and depriving one's cultivation seemed to be the same, but they were two different things. Hearsay. The two beasts lowered their heads and couldn't help but struggle in their hearts. Should they gamble? The fire dragon gritted his teeth, looked at the white jade Qilin, and said, Let's just gamble. Even if we can't unlock the door of potential, we will only lose one of our cultivation levels. But if we succeed, we will be reborn. Hearing this, the white jade Qilin made up his mind and nodded. Okay, let's gamble. The two beasts hit it off, turned around and ran out of the castle, running towards Madman's courtyard. Because the white-eyed wolf was now drinking at Madman's place. Under a big tree, Madman and the white-eyed wolf sat together, each holding a jar of black tortoise divine brew. The courtyard was filled with the aroma of wine. Zhua Shaoxian sat opposite them, drinking tea angrily. I say, can you guys learn from Qindage and stop drinking all the time? Don't you know that drinking is bad for your health? Seeing that Madman only cared about drinking with the white-eyed wolf and completely ignored her, Zhua Shaoxian couldn't help but be angry. This white-eyed wolf was also insensible. It wasn't easy for Madman to find time to accompany her, but this guy stayed here all the time. It was broad daylight. Why did he come here to be a third wheel? Bad for our health? Madman and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. Nonsense. We are not ordinary people. With our cultivation levels, no matter how much we drink, it won't harm our bodies. Madman smiled proudly. Exactly. Don't talk about Qindage all the time. What's so good about him that you have to learn from him? The white-eyed wolf also wore a disdainful look. Zhua Shaoxian's veins bulged as she glared at Madman and said, You just don't want to listen? I don't want to listen. Come on, Brother Wolf, let's continue. Madman waved his hand and clinked the jar with the white-eyed wolf. Then he threw his head back and began to drink. Asshole. Zhua Shaoxian glared at him angrily and left. Seeing that Zhuo Xiaoxian was really angry, Madman glanced at the jar in his hand and put it down in the end. He smiled apologetically and said, Xian don't go. I was just joking. I won't drink anymore. Henpecked husband. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. That's more like it. Zhuo Xiaoxian's expression softened. She went back to the stone bench and looked at Madman with her red lips seductively and said, Sit next to me. Why? Madman looked at her alertly. Zhuo Xiaoxian's face darkened. She said angrily, Do you think I'll eat you? Hee hee. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Madman let out an evil grin, before he blinked his eyes and said, Xian there's actually a secret that I haven't told you. What secret? Zhuo Xiaoxian was curious. The white-eyed wolf looked at Madman in confusion too. Madman went closer and said in a low voice, I'm practicing a peerless martial art called the virgin art. The biggest taboo of this martial art is that I can't get close to women. Zhuo Xiaoxian was startled. So, you'd better stay away from me, lest you break my virginity and waste all my previous efforts. Madman chuckled. You asshole. Zhuo Xiaoxian was infuriated as she snapped. Is it fun to trick me? Of course it is. Madman let out a proud laugh. Zhuo Xiaoxian clenched her teeth, but her eyes suddenly rolled as she let out a charming smile and said, Virgin art, right? Sure, you can take your time practicing the virgin art. I'll go find another man. What? Madman's expression stiffened. He immediately rose to his feet and said, Don't you dare. Aren't you practicing the virgin art? I can't possibly be a widow with you for the rest of my life. Zhuo Xiaoxian said calmly. Madman's lips twitched. He rushed up to Zhuo Xiaoxian and scooped her up in his arms before heading toward the pagoda. He said in a menacing tone, Damned woman, are you trying to provoke me? I'll do you right now. Ugh. The white-eyed wolf was startled. Leaving just like that? These assholes, they're all hoes before brothers. Not practicing the virgin art anymore? Zhuo Xiaoxian blushed and teased. Nope, I'm practicing the dual cultivation technique now. Madman chuckled and said, Brother Wolf, we'll drink another day. I'm going to teach this damned woman a lesson now. Pervert, Zhuo Xiaoxian grumbled, but she did not resist, implying that her body was still honest. Brother Wolf, however, at this moment, a loud voice was heard. The white-eyed wolf was about to leave with the jar in his hand. He raised his head after hearing the voice. Madman was startled too. He turned around and saw the white jade Qilin and the fire dragon running toward him in a hurry. Chapter 33:27. What's going on? The lunatic was confused. Put me down at once. Zhuo Xiaoxian reached out her claws and pinched the flesh on the lunatic's waist. The lunatic clenched his teeth in pain. He quickly put Zhuo Xiaoxian down and said, Woman, I'll deal with you later. You think I'm scared of you? Zhuo Xiaoxian wore a provocative look. The lunatic raised his brows. This woman, did she really think he did not have the guts to do her on the spot? Brother Wolf, do me a favor. The fire dragon ran up to the white-eyed wolf and said with a fawning smile, Help. The white-eyed wolf was startled. He glanced at the two beasts suspiciously. Here's the thing. The fire dragon quickly explained the situation. I see. The white-eyed wolf nodded. It was about to speak when the lunatic transmitted his voice. Brother Wolf, we're brothers, right? Of course. The white-eyed wolf nodded. You have to avenge me if you're my brother. The lunatic murmured. Avenge you? The white-eyed wolf was confused. The lunatic glanced at the white jade Qilin. The white-eyed wolf glanced at the white jade Qilin and said with a smirk, Not a problem. You're indeed my brother. The lunatic chuckled. He returned to the stone table and sat on the stool. He picked up the jar of wine that he had put down earlier. Cough, cough. Zhuo Xiaoxian let out a cough and glared at the lunatic. The lunatic frowned. He placed the jar down and glanced at the table. He picked up Zhuo Xiaoxian's cup and took a sip. Brother Wolf, I have to say, this tea tastes pretty good. Why don't you try it too? No thanks. The man and the wolf were extremely relaxed. They did not mention anything about their cultivation being robbed. What do you mean? The fire dragon glanced at the lunatic and the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. Zhuo Shaoxian was confused too. Why did they have such an attitude when they had come to ask for help? However, the white jade Qilin frowned, as if it understood what the lunatic and the white-eyed wolf meant. Xiener, come. Sit down and drink some tea. Madman stood up and walked to Zhuo Shaoxian's side. He helped Zhuo Shaoxian sit down on a stool with a gentle look on his face. Zhuo Shaoxian was stunned. This damned lunatic, he must have lost his mind. What the hell was he doing? Madman said, Xiener, look, we've been together for so long. Why don't we find some time to propose marriage to your father? Really? Zhuo Shaoxian was overjoyed. Finally, he was enlightened. Of course, in this lifetime, I will marry no one but you. Madman's face was filled with tenderness. Those who didn't know him would really think that he was a romantic. However, when it came to relationships, Madman was indeed very loyal. But now, his actions were too exaggerated. Zhuo Shaoxian was so happy. She hadn't misjudged him back then. He was a good man. The white jade Qilin steeled its heart and looked at Madman angrily. I say, can you stop acting? Besides, we're begging Brother Wolf, not you. Why are you so angry? Acting? Zhuo Shaoxian was surprised. Xiener, don't listen to its nonsense. I'm not acting. Madman hurriedly waved his hand and turned to glare at the white jade Qilin. He said angrily, what are you up to? How dare you sow discord between us? The white jade Qilin rolled its eyes and turned to look at the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf drank his wine and pretended not to see it. In fact, he was also a little unhappy with the white jade Qilin, because not only to Madman, but also to others, including the white-eyed wolf, the white jade Qilin also had an arrogant attitude. The white jade Qilin was annoyed. Madman, on the other hand, had a smug look on his face, as if he was saying to the white jade Qilin, see, what do you mean by close friends? Let's see if Brother Wolf will help you or not. The white jade Qilin sighed helplessly and looked at Madman. Okay, I promise you. As long as Brother Wolf helps me this time, I'll follow you in the future. Madman's eyes flashed with a sinister smile when he heard this. That's right. He was deliberately provoking the white jade Qilin. All these years, in order to make the white jade Qilin follow him, he could be said to have done everything he could and even lowered his attitude. However, the white jade Qilin always had an arrogant look and didn't even want to talk to him. In the past, he had said ruthlessly, don't fall into my hands. Hey, now that he finally had the opportunity, he naturally wouldn't let the white jade Qilin go. Aren't you very arrogant? Didn't you look down on others? Why are you begging me now? If I were you, I would directly cripple your cultivation. I definitely wouldn't lower my head and beg others for help. Seeing that Madman didn't say a word, the white jade Qilin was a little angry. I have already apologized to you and compromised. What else do you want? Did you apologize? Madman was slightly stunned and turned to look at it suspiciously. This isn't an apology? The white jade Qilin said angrily. This is an apology? Madman asked in return. Then he looked at the fire dragon and said, give it a demonstration and see what an apology is. The fire dragon was speechless. He finally understood Madman's intention. He wanted the white jade Qilin to bow its head. In order to quickly open the door of potential, it could only collude with Madman. It turned to the white jade Qilin and said, Old White, the apology is like this, then. It taught him step by step. The white jade Qilin's face was dark. Who doesn't know how to apologize? Do you need to teach me? But the key was that looking at this shameless person, it really couldn't lower its head or bend its back. The fire dragon thought, brother, we have something to ask of them now. Just bear with it. The white jade Qilin glared at the fire dragon and bowed to Madman. I apologize to you. I'm sorry. Will that do? Haha. Madman smiled proudly and looked at the white jade Qilin. You said that you want to follow me. I didn't force you. You. The white jade Qilin was burning with anger. If this wasn't forcing, what was? What kind of person was he to take advantage of others and still pretend to be innocent? Bear with it, bear with it. A little impatience spoils great plans. The fire dragon hurriedly comforted it. The white jade Qilin took a deep breath and said weakly, I'm willing. You didn't force me. Haha, Madman laughed again. He looked at the ingrate and said with a sly smile, Thanks, Brother Wolf. We're brothers. No need to be so polite. The white-eyed wolf grinned. Looking at the man and wolf colluding, the white jade Cheelin couldn't help but feel angry. Boom. The next moment, a golden beast appeared. The white-eyed wolf looked at the two beasts and asked, Have you really thought it through? Don't blame me if you can't open the door of potential later. Yes, let's begin. The fire dragon couldn't wait. Okay. The white-eyed wolf nodded and activated its innate ability. The white-eyed wolf was now an initial ruler, and the fire dragon and the white jade Cheelin were only half-step rulers. So it was very easy to deprive them of their cultivation. In an instant, the cultivation of the two beasts fell to perfection imperishable realm. The white-eyed wolf also deactivated its innate ability and put away its battle soul. Madman looked at the two beasts and asked, Brother Wolf, now that their cultivation has fallen to perfection imperishable realm, do they still have the power of laws? Depriving cultivation has nothing to do with the power of laws, so the power of laws is still there. Also, even if they're at perfection imperishable realm, they can still activate the fifth profound, the white-eyed wolf said. That works? Madman was stunned. However, although the power of laws is still there, because of the deprivation, they need to comprehend 7 types of fifth profound in the future to enter perfection sovereign realm. The white-eyed wolf said, What? There's such a thing? The fire dragon and the white jade Cheelin were also stunned. That's right, because you've already comprehended a type of fifth profound when you were half-step rulers, and after your cultivation is deprived, this fifth profound will not disappear. At the same time, because your cultivation has been deprived, you need to cultivate again. In other words, on top of your current foundation, you still need to comprehend 6 types of fifth profound. In total, isn't that 7 types of fifth profound? The white-eyed wolf said indifferently. Others only need 6 fifth profound meanings, but now we need 7 fifth profound meanings? The fire dragon and the white jade Cheelin looked at each other. Wasn't this increasing their difficulty? This is the consequence of having your cultivation taken away. Actually, it's not that bad. After opening the gate of potential, comprehending the power of laws won't be that difficult. Moreover, when you enter sovereign realm again, you'll be invincible in the same realm. That's because while others have mastered 1/5 profound, you have mastered 2. While others have mastered 2, you have mastered 3. Looking at it, it's a good thing, the white-eyed wolf said. Hearing this, the two beasts felt that it was indeed so. Madman asked again, Then, your third innate ability, after depriving others of their power of laws, will your cultivation drop? It won't. Only the power of laws will be lost, and your cultivation will never change. Take the Grand Deacon, for example. Although I have deprived him of the law of death, his cultivation is still at perfection sovereign realm. However, although he's still a perfection sovereign, his power of laws is 1 type less than others. Then, his strength will naturally be inferior to others. In short, the second innate ability can only deprive one's cultivation, and the third innate ability can only deprive one's power of laws, the white-eyed wolf explained. It's really mysterious, Madman muttered. Its innate ability is already ridiculous, so we can't look at it with ordinary eyes. Zhuo Shaoxian interjected. True. Madman nodded. Looking at the countless living beings in the world, only the white-eyed wolf possessed such innate abilities. Who cares? As long as it can open the gate of potential, it's a profit. Let's retreat. After the fire dragon finished speaking, he turned around and flew toward the ancient castle. Madman glanced at the fire dragon, then looked at the white jade Cheelin and chuckled. Little White, don't forget to report to me later. The white jade Cheelin's body stiffened. It glared fiercely at Madman, then turned around and flew toward the ancient castle. Brother Kai, quick, give me a potential pill to try. As soon as they entered the ancient castle, the two beasts looked at Dan Wangkai nervously and eagerly. You really deprived them of their cultivation? Dan Wangkai was stunned, then smiled bitterly. You guys are quite ruthless to yourselves. After speaking, He took out 2 potential pills and threw them to the 2 beasts. The 2 beasts looked at each other and swallowed the potential pills at the same time. Dan Wangkai looked at Wang Changyuan and said, "Release your pressure." Wang Changyuan was now incomparably respectful to Dan Wangkai. Hearing this, he immediately released his pressure and enveloped the 2 beasts. "You must succeed." The 2 beasts roared in their hearts. About 10 breaths later, boom, a muffled sound came from their bodies. Then, a dazzling light bloomed between their eyebrows. Success? Dan Wangkai's expression froze. It was really possible. Then these 2 fellows had profited. Does this count as success? The 2 beasts looked at Dan Wangkai in disbelief. Dan Wangkai waved his hand, and the void distorted. Soon, it became like a mirror. He smiled and said, "See for yourselves." The white jade Qilin immediately removed the hair between its eyebrows, and a potential imprint appeared. The fire dragon also removed a dragon scale between its eyebrows. There was an identical potential imprint on its flesh. Success. The 2 beasts looked at each other and cheered in unison. Chapter 33:28. All of them had opened the door to potential, so it was naturally a joyous occasion, because in the future, their cultivation would be twice the result with half the effort. As for the white jade Qilin, it didn't pay any attention to Madman's words. After opening the gate of potential, it ran out and focused on cultivating. "I can't accept this. Even someone like Xingde can open all the gates of potential. Why can't I?" After everyone left, Wang Changyuan stood alone outside the castle, looking at the sky, feeling very frustrated. "No, I must perform well. Otherwise, not to mention Xingde, even those secret guards will surpass me in the future." He clenched his fists tightly, turned around and walked towards Qin Feiyang's courtyard. Seeing that the loft's door was closed, he didn't go in. He stood at the side of the door respectfully, like a guard guarding this place. Time flew by. The next morning, Qin Feiyang, who had been in the room with the mermaid princess for a day and a night, finally opened the door and walked out, looking refreshed. Taking in a breath of fresh air, Qin Feiyang suddenly noticed Wang Changyuan standing outside the door, and a trace of suspicion flashed in his eyes. Subordinate Wang Changyuan greets young lord. Wang Changyuan naturally saw Qin Feiyang, but he didn't enter the courtyard. He knelt on one knee outside the door and greeted respectfully. "I know your name is Wang Changyuan. You don't have to say it again." Qin Feiyang said lightly. "Subordinate is afraid that you won't remember." Wang Changyuan smiled embarrassedly. "My memory isn't that bad," Qin Feiyang said, walked out of the courtyard and asked, "Is there anything?" "No. Subordinate is staying here to protect young lord, and at the same time to listen to young lord's orders," Wang Changyuan said respectfully. "Protect me?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and laughed. "Do you think that in this black tortoise world, there is anyone who can hurt me?" Hearing this, Wang Changyuan's expression stiffened. "That's right. In this black tortoise world, who can hurt young lord?" This flattery hit the nail on the head. "Enough. Don't try to curry favor with me all the time. Others may like it, but I don't. I'm looking at your abilities," Qin Feiyang said. Wang Changyuan panicked and hurriedly bowed. "This subordinate knows his mistake. Please forgive me, young lord. This subordinate will definitely perform well in the future." "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. After pondering for a while, he took out the divine sound transmission stone and the cosmos bag and said, "I'll return these to you." "Thank you, young master." Wang Changyuan took the divine voice transmitting stone and the Chinkuan bag with both hands. Qin Feiyang asked, "Other than that battle armor, do you have any other supreme heaven-defying artifacts?" "Yes." Wang Changyuan waved his hand, and a black battle axe appeared. It was 1/2 meter long and looked as if it was forged from cold iron. There was a blood-red skull engraved on it, and it emitted strands of cold air. This item is called the Ghost King Battle Axe. If young lord likes it, this subordinate is willing to gift it to young lord. After saying that, Wang Changyuan handed the Ghost King tomahawk to Qin Feiyang. "Give it to me?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He reached out and grabbed the battle axe, looking it up and down. When Wang Changyuan saw that Qin Feiyong had really taken away the battle axe, a trace of regret immediately crept up in his eyes. He only had 2 supreme-level heaven-defying divine tools, so why was he still acting so generous? Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. What's wrong? Wang Changyuan was suspicious. I remember that the 2 supreme heaven-defying artifacts of the Dark Guard commander also had such a skull symbol. Are these 3 heaven-defying artifacts related? Qin Feiyong asked. Yes. These 3 heaven-defying artifacts were found in the same place. They are the Ghost King Battle Axe, the Ghost King Battle Armor, and the Ghost King Scythe. Back then, the Palace Master gave the Ghost King Battle Armor and the Ghost King Scythe to the Dark Guard commander, and the Ghost King Battle Axe to this subordinate. Wang Changyuan replied respectfully. So it's like that. Qin Feiyong nodded in realization and asked, What's the name of your armor? Wang Changyuan waved his hand, and a golden armor appeared. However, it was covered with cracks, like a spider web. This armor was the one that came out to protect Wang Changyuan when they ambushed him in the stone room. If not for the protection of this armor, Wang Changyuan would have been crippled by the middle-aged man at that time, and none of the things that happened later would have happened. This is the golden battle armor. If the young master likes it, this subordinate. Wang Changyuan gritted his teeth and said, I'll also give it to the young master. Haha, you're really willing to part with it. Qin Feiyong laughed. Wang Changyuan said, Now, this subordinate even belongs to the young master, not to mention 2 mere holy artifact. Don't say it so ambiguously. Everyone is mine. If others hear it, they will misunderstand. Qin Feiyong was speechless and threw the Ghost King battle axe to Wang Changyuan. Wang Changyuan caught it and couldn't help but look at Qin Feiyong in a daze. Giving it to me won't be of much use. You should keep it for yourself. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Useless? Wang Changyuan was taken aback, but after thinking about it carefully, he understood. He already had a sovereign-level holy artifact, so he naturally wouldn't care about a heaven-defying holy artifact. He originally wanted to curry favor with the other party, but he didn't expect the other party to not care at all, so he resentfully put it away. Qin Feiyong lowered his head and pondered for a while, then looked at Wang Changyuan and said with a smile, Since you want to show off, I'll give you a chance now. If you can do this, I'll have Dan Wonkai help you open all the doors of potential. Young master, please give the order. Wang Changyuan was shocked. He didn't expect the opportunity to come so quickly. Qin Feiyong smiled. Go back to the Blood Hall now, and wait 3 days later when I arrive at the Blood Hall. We'll work together and give the Blood Hall's Hall Master a surprise. Go back to the Blood Hall. Wang Changyuan's gaze trembled, and a trace of panic and fear appeared in his eyes. You don't have to worry. Although a day has passed in the Black Tortoise world, only a little time has passed outside. Moreover, only you and I know that the Alliance Master and the others have been rescued, so you won't be in any danger if you go back now. Of course, in advance, don't let the cat out of the bag. However, if you can't even do this, then it means that you don't have the qualifications to stay by my side. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. This subordinate will definitely complete the task. Wang Changyuan was shocked, and he quickly knelt on one knee again, looking at Qin Feiyong and roaring with determination. I hope so. Qin Feiyong smiled and waved his hand, and Wang Changyuan immediately disappeared. Where did you let him go? Madman happened to pass by, and when he saw this scene, he immediately ran up to ask. Back to the Blood Hall. Qin Feiyong smiled. What? Letting him go back to the Blood Hall? Aren't you letting the tiger return to the mountain? Madman frowned. I believe he's a smart person. Besides, with the slave seal, it's easy for me to kill him. Qin Feiyong smiled and then asked, Where are you going? To find Little White. Damn it. We agreed yesterday to report here, but until now, I haven't seen it. Sure enough, this bastard's words can't be trusted. Madman said angrily. Report? What do you mean? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. Madman briefly told him about how he joined forces with the white-eyed wolf yesterday to force the white jade Qilin. I see. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. It's a divine beast after all, so it's normal for it to be a little arrogant. Take it slow, don't force it too much. Let's go and visit the Mermaid Emperor and White Wing Emperor. If I really forced it, would it be delayed until today? I would have used force to suppress it. Madman snorted in dissatisfaction and followed Qin Feiyang to a courtyard. Eastern continent. Kanglin's snow mountain. Heavy snow swirled, and the cold light was piercing to the bone. Suddenly, a figure descended in the sky above the barrier. Who? Zhang Diyuan, who was guarding the barrier, immediately noticed the figure. With a loud shout, he raised his head to look. At that moment, his entire body froze in place. The person who came was a middle-aged man with a tall and straight figure and an elegant temperament. There were 2 fire pythons lying on his shoulders. Alliance leader. Zhang Diyuan shivered and quickly took out the token to open the barrier and flew towards the barrier. But before he could fly to the barrier, the Alliance leader took a step forward and directly appeared inside the barrier. This barrier was set up by him, so of course it couldn't restrict him. Greetings, Lord Alliance leader. Greetings, Lord Divine Beasts. Zhang Diyuan hurriedly knelt on the ground and bowed respectfully. You are? The Alliance leader looked at him doubtfully. Zhang Diyuan hurriedly said, I am Zhang Diyuan, once the city lord of East City. Now, under the orders of the Vice Alliance leader, I am here to guard the barrier. Zhang Diyuan, the Alliance leader muttered, as if searching for memories about Zhang Diyuan. After a while, he smiled and said, It's you. No wonder you look a little familiar. I didn't expect Lord Alliance leader to still remember this lowly one. Zhang Diyuan was flattered. The Alliance leader was puzzled. Since you are the city lord of East City, why would the Vice Alliance leader let you guard the barrier? I don't dare to hide it from Lord. This lowly one has made a big mistake. So, Zhang Diyuan smiled embarrassedly. So it's like that. Don't think that guarding the barrier is a shameful thing. You have to know that this barrier protects the entire Rogue Cultivator Alliance. If you guard it, then the safety of the entire Rogue Cultivator Alliance is also tied to your shoulders. This is an honor, and more importantly, our trust in you. The Alliance leader said, This lowly one will follow Lord's instructions. Zhang Diyuan hurriedly bowed and said, HM. The Alliance leader nodded and took a step forward. But after a few steps, he stopped and looked at Zhang Diyuan. Qin Feiyang, do you know him? Of course I know him. He is the direct disciple of the Vice Alliance leader. Zhang Diyuan nodded. There was one more thing he didn't say. He was also his master. Because Zhang Diyuan has always been controlled by the slave seal. If Qin Feiyang wanted to kill him, it would only take a single thought. Then in your opinion, what do you think of this Qin Feiyang? The Alliance leader asked. Zhang Diyuan was silent for a while, then raised his head and looked at the Alliance leader. To be honest, he is really good. All right. The Alliance leader smiled slightly and turned to leave. Zhang Diyuan also slowly got up, looking at the Alliance leader's back with eyes full of respect. But suddenly, his expression froze. That's not right. Didn't they say that the Alliance leader was plotted against by the Blood Hall and was now imprisoned in the Blood Hall? Why did he suddenly run back? Could it be Qin Feiyang? It must be. How terrifying. To be able to save the Alliance leader from the Blood Hall, it seems that being controlled by Qin Feiyang and serving him as Lord may not be a bad thing. Chapter 33-29. Alliance Capital. In a courtyard, 2 old men sat opposite each other. On the table, there was a black and white chessboard. Next to it was a pot of fragrant tea. They were the Vice Alliance leader and the Hall of Famers. The 2 of them played chess while sipping tea. Their days were extremely comfortable. Old Qi, how was Zhao Xiaojin recently? The Vice Alliance leader asked with a smile. This girl is quite powerful. She has comprehended the 4th profound of the Law of Light and is trying to break through to the 5th. I also heard from my younger brother that she has comprehended 2 new laws. The Hall of Famers chuckled. So powerful? The Vice Alliance leader was surprised. This girl's talent is a little beyond imagination. The Hall of Famers shook his head. In fact, They did not know that Zhao Xiaojin was able to have such talent because she had opened the door of potential. It could be said that if Yi Tian did not go to the Black Tortoise world, it would not take long for Zhao Xiaojin to surpass him. After all, she was once the genius girl of the East City. She definitely deserves her reputation. The Vice Alliance leader laughed hoarsely and then sighed. Although the death of Zhao Eryong's family is not directly related to us, as the managers of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, we also have an unshirkable responsibility. So, in the future, we have to take good care of Zhao Xiaojin. The Hall of Famers nodded. In public, Zhao Eryong had been responsible for guarding the barrier for many years. Now that he only had one son left, they naturally had to take good care of him. In private, Zhao Xiaojin had a very good relationship with Yi Tian, Qin Feiyong, and Frenzy. Now that the three of them were not in the Eastern continent, as her elders, they had the responsibility to take good care of Zhao Xiaojin. Of course, this was the current Vice Alliance leader. If it was the previous Vice Alliance leader, who would care about your life and death? Not bad. You know how to take responsibility. It seems that you have changed a lot. Suddenly, a calm voice sounded outside the courtyard. The Vice Alliance leader and the Hall of Famers were stunned. Why did this voice sound so familiar? It seemed like the two of them suddenly stood up and looked outside the courtyard. They saw an elegant middle-aged man standing under a big tree outside the courtyard. Alliance leader. Their eyes trembled. Was this a dream? The Alliance leader walked into the courtyard step by step. The Shunmeng couple on his shoulders stared at the Vice Alliance leader with cold eyes. The Alliance master walked into the courtyard, looked around, and said indifferently, "After so many years, your place hasn't changed at all. Is it really the Alliance master?" The deputy leader and the Hall of Famers looked at each other in disbelief. "What is it? You don't want to see me back?" The Alliance master walked over and sat on the stone bench, looking at the two of them indifferently. The Vice Alliance master sized up the Alliance master and said in a low voice, "Old Chi, give me a slap and see if I'm dreaming." Pa. The Hall of Famers really did raise his hand and smack the vice leader on the head. "You're really fighting?" The Vice Alliance master glared at him. "Nonsense. You're the one who requested it. Besides, it would be a waste not to fight. How about it? Does it hurt?" The Hall of Famers asked. The vice leader's face darkened. He said angrily, "Let me try. Let me see if it hurts." "Since it hurts, it's not a dream." The Hall of Famers murmured, "You two old men, how much do you not want us to come back?" Looking at the two of them, Shin Meng and his wife were both angry and amused. The two of them looked at each other and bowed at the same time. "Greetings, Alliance Master." Their expressions were full of excitement. Finally, they were finally back. The Alliance Master glanced at the two of them, pointed to the stone bench next to him, and said indifferently, "Sit down." The Hall of Fame Master sat down. However, the Vice Alliance Master walked to the stone bench and hesitated. Suddenly, he knelt in front of the Alliance Master, lowered his head, and said, "I'm guilty. Please punish me." "What are you guilty of?" The Alliance Master looked down at him indifferently. "I was blinded by greed. I lost my mind and was instigated by the Hall of Blood. I'm really sorry. I'm willing to pay for it with my life." The Vice Alliance Master's face was full of regret. The Hall of Famers sat at the side and wanted to say something. However, after thinking about it, she chose to remain silent. Although the Vice Alliance Master had turned over a new leaf, the damage he had done to the Alliance Master and the two great pythons could not be erased in a lifetime. Therefore, the decision of the Alliance Master and the two great pythons had to be respected. The Alliance Master and the two great pythons did not say anything. They just looked at the Vice Alliance Master. The Vice Alliance Master felt more and more ashamed. He suddenly raised his arm and shouted, "Alliance Master, it's not my family's fault. Now, I only have one grandson, Yi Tian. After I die, please let him live." After saying that, he slapped the space between his eyebrows. "Pay for it with your life." The Hall of Famers could not sit still and was about to stop him. However, at this moment, the Alliance Master got up and grabbed the Vice Alliance Master's wrist. The Vice Alliance Master looked up at the Alliance Master with a trace of doubt on his face. Get up. The Alliance Master smiled slightly. His previous indifference was gone. He personally helped the Vice Alliance Master up. Seeing this, the Hall of Famers breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the Alliance Master had forgiven the Vice Alliance Master. The Alliance Master returned to the stone bench and smiled. You know my personality. I'm a wild crane. If you die, who will manage the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? Hearing this, the Vice Alliance Master was slightly stunned. Then, he blamed himself even more and felt even more guilty. Enough. Qin Feiyong and the Fire Dragon have already told us about your matter. It's great that you know your mistakes and can change. Let's just pretend that the past never happened. The Alliance Master smiled. Thank you, Alliance Master. The Vice Alliance Master was ashamed. Qin Feiyong had always repaid evil with good. Now, the Alliance Master was also doing the same. This made him want to blame himself even more. What kind of stupid things did he do in the past? Although we've forgiven you, you have to remember that this is the only time. The Fire Dragon couple said, Thank you. The Vice Alliance Master looked at them gratefully. He wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes and asked, How are Feiyong and the others now? They're doing well. 3 days later, they will officially declare war on the Blood Hall. The Alliance Master smiled. Official declaration of war? The Vice Alliance Master was shocked and hurriedly said, Isn't this too impulsive? No. On the contrary, I support him. It's indeed time to eradicate the Blood Hall. All of you, get ready. 3 days later, follow me to the Western continent to support them. Also, make a trip to the Demon Hall and inform the Demon Hall Master. If we want to eradicate the Blood Hall completely, we must have the help of the Demon Hall. Also, send an order to the people lurking in the northern and southern continents. Tell them to pay attention to the movements of the divine halls and the sacred halls. I won't allow anyone to interfere at the crucial moment. The Alliance Master said with a cold glint in his eyes. Yes. The Vice Alliance Master replied respectfully. Blood Hall. Conference Hall. A group of big shots sat inside in silence. Outside, Wang Changyuan flew through the air and landed in front of the door. The big shots immediately looked up at him. Wang Changyuan secretly clenched his fists and then strode into the hall. He walked to the Blood Hall Master and bowed. Sir, I've asked clearly. Very good. Immediately go and inform the 5 people who disguise themselves. Also, tell them not to reveal any flaws when facing Qin Feiyong 3 days later. The Blood Hall Master ordered. Yes. Wang Changyuan replied respectfully and then turned to leave. After watching Wang Changyuan leave, the Blood Hall Master looked at Old Hai and said, Your divine soul and physical body haven't been reconstructed yet. Don't show yourself 3 days later. I don't want to accidentally hurt you. Old Hai frowned. But you, don't worry. This plan is flawless. We can definitely catch Qin Feiyong off guard. As long as Qin Feiyong is dead, how can the remaining ancient castles be a match for the Ice Dragon's Sacred Sword and the Horsetail Whisk? The Blood Hall Master smiled confidently. All right. Old Hai nodded. One of the deacons said, Hall Master, I have another suggestion. It's best to secretly evacuate all the disciples and the resources of our Blood Hall. That's necessary. When the Sovereign Divine Weapons start fighting, the entire 9 Dragon Mountain range will be destroyed. Even the people in the nearby cities will have to evacuate. The Blood Hall Master looked at the 9 deacons and ordered, You guys are responsible for secretly evacuating the disciples. As for the resources of our Blood Hall. Speaking of this, the Blood Hall Master looked at Old Hai and said, You will temporarily take care of the resources. These are the foundation of our Blood Hall. Nothing must happen to them. Doesn't that mean I have to evacuate with the disciples? Old Hai frowned. That's right. Your task is to protect these resources. However, you can't evacuate with the disciples. You have to hide yourself to avoid being caught. After all, Qin Feiyong is not someone to be trifled with. Perhaps he's watching our Blood Hall from somewhere. The Blood Hall Master said in a low voice, But I want to kill Qin Feiyong with my own hands. Old Hai roared. His eyes were filled with hatred. Don't worry, if there's a chance, I'll leave him alive for you to deal with. The Blood Hall Master smiled sinisterly. Old Hai took a deep breath and nodded. All right, I'll listen to you. Then, let's get moving. As soon as the Blood Hall Master gave the order, the entire Blood Hall became busy. What? The Blood Hall is secretly evacuating their disciples? Inside a stone chamber. Wang Dafu held the transmission godly stone in his hand and looked at a woman in her 30s in front of him with a frown. That's right. The woman nodded. It seems like the Blood Hall has decided to go head-to-head with Qin Feiyang. But why so sudden? Could it be that Qin Feiyang has succeeded and kidnapped the family members of the Blood Hall's authorities? Wang Dafu frowned. Isn't he with you? Don't you know? The woman was suspicious. They were indeed with me before, but they left without saying anything. Moreover, he also said that he wouldn't do anything to pay Wanli and the others for the time being. It seems that something happened during this period that we don't know about. Wang Dafu pondered for a while, then looked at the woman and said, How about this? I'll send them a message first and ask them. I'll contact you later. Okay. The woman nodded. Chapter 33:30. Soul Sealing Valley. After opening the Gate of Potential, Xingde returned to Soul Sealing Valley and continued to watch over Pei Wanli and the others. Although he knew that these people would not encounter any accidents in the Black Tortoise world, he was a responsible person. Since Qin Feiyang ordered him to watch over these people, he had to do it. At the same time, after opening the Gate of Potential, he could clearly feel that both his talent and comprehension had improved by leaps and bounds. The most obvious change was the power of law. The things that he couldn't understand before were now as clear as day. He could even feel that the bottleneck of the fifth profound that he had been stuck at for many years was slowly loosening. Buzz. Suddenly, a sound came from the Divine Sound Stone. He took out the Divine Sound Stone and lowered his head to check it. A trace of a smile appeared on his face. He then activated the Divine Sound Stone and Wang Dafu's image appeared. Xingde, why did you leave without saying a word? Did I not treat you well? Wang Dafu seemed to be a little dissatisfied with Qin Feiyang and the others leaving without saying goodbye. No, didn't we have to deal with some things? Xingde quickly waved his hand. I see. Wang Dafu nodded and smiled. I just received a message from Dong Xiaoyun, saying that the Blood Hall is secretly transferring their disciples. This should be related to you. Transfer? Xingde was stunned. Yes, and it's a complete transfer. I guess that it should be related to you, so I sent a message to ask. Wang Dafu said, This is indeed related to us. Xingde explained the situation in detail. Since Wang Dafu wasn't an outsider, there was no harm in telling him. Wang Dafu was stunned. The Dark Guard commander was dead? Wang Changyuan and all the Dark Guards had surrendered? Pei Wanli and the others were also captured? Even the Alliance Master and the others had been rescued? This action was too fast. Not to mention the Blood Hall. Even he felt that he couldn't adapt. Wang Dafu shook his head with a bitter smile and sighed. My junior nephew is quite powerful. Isn't young master a little powerful? Let's not talk about strength first. Let's talk about brains. Us, the older generation, can't compare to him. The Blood Hall is courting death by going against him. Xingde sneered. Wang Dafu nodded and asked, Then it looks like we're going to have an all-out war this time? Yes. The Alliance Chief also said that he would come to provide reinforcements at that time. The people from the Demon Royal Halls will probably come as well. Xingde nodded. Sure. I can finally get rid of this tumor. You guys are responsible for dealing with the Blood Hall's leaders. As for the Blood Hall's disciples, Dong Xiaoyun and I will send people to track them down. Wang Dafu smiled coldly. All right. Xingde nodded and said, That's all for now. I'll report this matter to the young master. Yes. Wang Dafu answered and turned off the Divine Sound Transmission Stone. Xingde immediately returned to the Devil's Land. In a courtyard, the Mermaid Emperor, White-Winged Emperor, Black-Winged Emperor, Sword Emperor, Qin Feiyang, and the mad scientist sat around a table. There was a teapot on the table, and the aroma of tea filled the air. I really didn't expect the Black Tortoise world to change so quickly. The Mermaid Emperor took a sip of tea and looked around with a smile. Yeah. The White-Winged Emperor nodded and looked at Qin Feiyong, asking, the Black Tortoise world is now 3 times bigger than the Divine Lands, right? More or less. After all, there's a 1 day and 1,000 years time array. The growth is definitely fast. Qin Feiyong smiled. Not only the Black Tortoise world, the growth of the two of you is also terrifying. This time, it's really been hard on you guys. The Mermaid Emperor sighed. Qin Feiyong smiled. As long as you guys are fine, it's worth the trouble. Good boy. The Mermaid Emperor grabbed Qin Feiyong's hand and nodded in relief. Whoosh! Xingda flew over and landed behind Qin Feiyong. He bowed and said, Greetings, young master. What's wrong? Qin Feiyong turned and looked at him suspiciously. Xingda said honestly, just now, your martial uncle Wang Dafu sent a message saying that the Blood Hall is transferring their disciples. Martial uncle? Wang Dafu. The Mermaid Emperor and White-Winged Emperor were suspicious. It's a long story. I'll tell you guys in the future. Qin Feiyong smiled and looked at Xingda. It seems like Wang Changyuan has succeeded. Then, should we get rid of the Blood Hall's disciples? Xingda asked. These disciples aren't much of a threat. The main problem is the Blood Hall sovereigns, especially Old Hai. A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyong's eyes. Old Hai? Xingda was stunned. That's right. Old Hai's physical body and divine soul haven't been reconstructed yet. The Blood Hall's Hall Master will definitely not let him participate in the battle. It's very likely that he will be transferred. Therefore, we have to track his movements. No matter what, this person must die. Qin Feiyong's eyes were filled with killing intent. Understood. I'll go and inform Wang Dafu now. Xingda nodded and turned to leave. Qin Feiyong pondered for a while before raising his head to look at the Mermaid Emperor and the others. He smiled and said, Now, you don't have to think about anything. Just stay here and enjoy your remaining years. Enjoy my remaining years? The four were slightly stunned. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, You guys have worked hard for most of your lives. It's time for you to have a good rest. Leave the future matters to us. The four shook their heads and smiled bitterly. That's true. Right now, they were only in the imperishable realm. They couldn't help much at all. Therefore, it was better for them to rest and not cause trouble for Qin Feiyong. Then, we'll go and do our work. Qin Feiyong smiled and got up to leave with Madman. The Blood Hall has transferred their disciples. It seems like they're preparing to fight us to the death in 3 days. Madman chuckled. Isn't this what we're waiting for? However, just in case, I still need to gather enough blood to open the slaughter domain. 3 days outside and 3,000 years in the Black Tortoise world. If the beings in the Black Tortoise world are willing to help, it should be enough. Qin Feiyong said. If they all help, then there's definitely no problem. But you also have to think about how to repay them. Madman said. Yes, I owe them too much over the years. I feel like I can't repay them in this lifetime. I can only do my best to protect their safety and improve the cultivation environment of the Black Tortoise world. Qin Feiyong sighed. It's fine as long as you have the heart. Maybe they're donating blood because they value your character and don't want anything in return. Madman patted his shoulder. Qin Feiyong smiled. With a thought, Pai Lupi and Theta Wang appeared. Sir. The two bowed. Qin Feiyong said, The battle with the Blood Hall in 3 days may require us to open the slaughter domain. You two go and prepare. We promise to complete the task. The two of them made a promise, turned around, and flew away like lightning. Madman looked at their backs and said with a smile, These two are also loyal to you. Yes, so I can't betray their trust. I have to cherish everything in the Black Tortoise world. Qin Feiyong nodded. Qin Dage, suddenly, Yueqing flew over. What's wrong? Qin Feiyong turned his head and looked at her suspiciously. Yueqing asked doubtfully, I heard that the Alliance Master and the others have been rescued, but why don't I see Miao Miao? Wang Changyuan didn't bring Yi Miao to the Sea of Heavenly Clouds, so she must still be imprisoned in the Blood Hall. But don't worry, We will find a way to save her in 3 days. Qin Feiyang smiled. Thank you. Yueqing smiled gratefully. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then looked at Yueqing and said, How about I send you back to the eastern continent first? Miao Miao is not out of danger. I don't want to go back. Yueqing shook her head and asked, Can you bring me along to the blood hall in 3 days? What are you going for? To cause trouble? Madman raised his eyebrows. Yueqing hurriedly said, Don't worry, I definitely won't cause you any trouble. Your existence itself is a problem. Madman shut up. Yueqing immediately said in displeasure, Big brother Imo, I don't like what you're saying. Look at me. I've been in the black tortoise world for so long. Have I ever caused you any trouble? Madman frowned. Enough. Is there a need for you to be angry with a woman? Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly, looked at Yueqing and said, All right, when the time comes, just follow us and don't run around. Thank you, Qin Dage. Yueqing smiled happily, then looked at Madman and snorted. Qin Dage is the best. Some people only know how to bully women. This old man has a bad temper. When did this old man bully you? Madman immediately frowned. You did. Yueqing stuck out her tongue, turned around and ran away. She's quite cute. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. She's cute? Old Qin, your eyesight doesn't seem to be working well. Madman's face was full of disdain. In a flash, 3 days had passed. In the middle of the night, the sky was covered with dark clouds, as if a storm was coming. The entire western continent seemed to be shrouded in an oppressive atmosphere. What's going on tonight? It feels especially stuffy, especially oppressive, and there's even an inexplicable irritation in my heart. In a certain border town, several young men walked out of a restaurant and looked at the dark night sky, their eyes full of suspicion. It feels like something big is about to happen. At this moment, many people looked at the sky, and there was an ominous premonition in their hearts. Blood Hall. There was dead silence. Inside the hall. It's almost dawn. Why isn't he here yet? Is he playing with us? The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons were sitting around the table. The 9 deacons were frowning. The deal was said to be in 3 days, and it was almost the 4th day, but he still hadn't appeared. They couldn't wait in vain. What's the hurry? Since he said 3 days later, we naturally have to wait until the 4th day. Besides, the Mermaid Emperor and the White Wing Emperor are still in our hands. It's impossible for him not to come. Let's wait patiently. The Blood Hall Master glanced at the 9 deacons and said, Little did they know that the Mermaid Emperor and the others had already been rescued. Time passed quietly. Dawn arrived. Clang. Accompanied by a loud noise, an ancient door appeared in the sky above the Blood Hall. It was the space-time gate. The Blood Hall Master and the others who were sitting in the hall immediately got up and walked out of the hall when they heard the loud noise. They looked up and immediately saw 3 people and 1 wolf striding out of the space-time gate. Chapter 33-31. They're finally here. The Blood Hall Master's eyes lit up because the newcomers were Qin Feiyang, the Madman, the White-Eyed Wolf, and Yueqing. Whoosh! The Blood Hall Masters flew above the hall and looked at Qin Feiyang from afar. Where's our family? Qin Feiyang remained silent as he scanned the void. Suddenly, he waved his hand and a divine power shot down. Buzz! A giant barrier suddenly appeared in the void. Is this your sincerity? You didn't even close the barrier. Qin Feiyang said. That's not the point, the Blood Hall Master said in a deep voice. He couldn't close the barrier even if he wanted to because it was set up by the Alliance Master. The madman sneered. Then tell me, how are we going to exchange hostages with this barrier between us? The Blood Hall Master glanced at the 3 people and the wolf and said, Meet at the entrance. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Just break it with your sovereign weapon. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Break it? The Blood Hall Master raised his eyebrows. Of course. We'll have to use the sovereign weapon sooner or later anyway. When the sovereign weapon appears, won't the barrier still collapse? Qin Feiyang said faintly. That makes sense. The Blood Hall Master nodded and smiled. With a loud clang, The ice dragon's sacred sword appeared and slashed at the barrier. With a loud crack, the barrier shattered on the spot. At the same time, on the coast of the eastern continent's heavenly cloud ocean, the Alliance Master was slightly stunned. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Next to him, the Vice Alliance Master, the Hall of Famers, and the two divine pythons were all there. The Demon Hall Master, Elder Hua, and Chu Yun were also there. Behind Elder Hua and the other two, there were 10 people. There were men and women, old and young. The aura they emitted was unfathomable. Although there were only a dozen people, this lineup was enough to make anyone tremble in fear. This was because this was the peak strength of the Eastern Continent. What's wrong? The Demon Hall Master looked at the Alliance Master. The barrier has been broken. The Alliance Master smiled. The Demon Palace's Hall Master smiled and said, "That means that Qin Feiyong has already made his move. Let's hurry over." The Vice Alliance Master urged, his eyes filled with worry. "There's no rush. Qin Feiyong probably still wants to negotiate. Give him some more time." The Alliance Master waved his hand. Blood Hall. A hint of a smile also flashed through Qin Feiyong's eyes. The destruction of the barrier was equivalent to a signal. Because the barrier was set up by the Alliance Master, the moment the barrier shattered, the Alliance Master would sense it immediately. "You may leave." Qin Feiyong waved his hand and led the mad scientist, White-Eyed Wolf, and Yueqing towards the Blood Hall's group of heavyweights. "Where is Miao Miao?" Yueqing immediately asked when she saw the group of giants. "What about our families?" One of the deacons said gloomily. Qin Feiyong said, "They are all in the Black Tortoise world and can come out at any time, so there's no need to be too anxious. Bring the Mermaid Emperor and the Alliance Master here first. Then you'd better not play any tricks." The Blood Hall Master stared at Qin Feiyong with a bone-chilling gaze. "Don't worry. I'm not as despicable as you." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. "Wang Changyuan." The Blood Hall Master roared. A figure immediately appeared in one of the halls below. It was Wang Changyuan. Beside him, Miao and the 5 impostors were overjoyed when they saw Qin Feiyong and the others. "Miao Miao." Yueqing was also overjoyed and immediately ran towards Miao. "What are you doing?" The mad scientist grabbed her and said angrily, Sorry, I was too happy and couldn't hold back." Yueqing was stunned and quickly apologized. "Feiyong." Mad scientist, White-Eyed Wolf. The fake Mermaid Emperor and the White-Winged Emperor also began to shout at Qin Feiyong and the White-Eyed Wolf from afar. Moreover, their expressions were full of self-blame. They seemed to be saying that they had implicated them. "Their acting is really good." The mad scientist transmitted his voice. "So, we can't lose to them in acting." Qin Feiyong smiled secretly and then glared at the group of giants of the Blood Hall angrily. Then, he looked at the Mermaid Emperor and the White-Winged Emperor and said, "Don't be afraid. We'll come to save you right away." "Okay." The two of them nodded. Wang Changyuan led 4 people and 2 beasts and landed beside the Blood Hall Master. The fake Alliance Master looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "You're Qin Feiyong, the disciple of Old Man Yi?" "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded. "This person also started to act? You came to the Blood Hall alone to save people. You're indeed a young hero." The fake Alliance Master praised. "Alliance Master, you flatter me. I just want to help Master make up for his mistake." Qin Feiyong sighed. "Let bygones be bygones." The fake Alliance Master waved his hand. He was really good at acting. If they hadn't rescued the Alliance Master in advance, Qin Feiyong and the others would really believe that the person in front of them was the Alliance Master. "The people you want have been brought here. Hurry up and release our family members." A deacon roared. "Okay." Qin Feiyong nodded. As he waved his hand, Xingda, Pei Wanli, and the others immediately appeared in the void next to him. But it was worth mentioning. Although these people were covered in wounds and blood, especially on their lower abdomens, there were many bloody holes. There was no stench on them at all. "Father, Grandpa." When the group of people saw the Blood Hall Master and the others, they immediately called for help. "Didn't you promise us that you won't torture them anymore?" The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons looked at Pei Wanli and the others and were instantly furious. They were obviously just released from a cesspool. Did I? Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned. He turned to look at Xingde and asked, Did I say that? No. Xingde shook his head. That's good. I thought my memory was failing me. Qin Feiyong breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing the two of them echoing each other, the Blood Hall Master clenched his hands tightly. His eyes were extremely fierce. He said angrily, They are covered in wounds and blood. Isn't that torture? You're talking about this. I thought you were talking about rolling in the cesspool. Yes, I promised you. But I didn't say that I wouldn't torture them in other ways. Actually, you should be thanking me. At least I did keep my promise and didn't let them continue rolling in the cesspool. Otherwise, they would have already collapsed in the Black Tortoise world 3,000 years ago. Qin Feiyong laughed. Then let them go quickly. The Blood Hall Master's face was gloomy. They had already been tortured to this extent. What was the point of saying more? It was better to quickly exchange. As long as the exchange was successful, he could attack without any worries. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded and looked at Xingde. Exchange the hostages? Yes. Xingde nodded and flew to the opposite side with a group of people. At the same time, Wang Changyuan also flew to Qin Feiyong with Yi Miao and the 5 imposters. Soon, Xingde and Wang Changyuan met. Xingde, what's going on? Pei Wanli and the others saw with their own eyes that I submitted to the young master in the Soul-Sealing Valley. Why didn't these people mention it now? Wang Changyuan transmitted his voice. Moreover, these people didn't have any stench on them. This was too abnormal. Because he knew that Pei Wanli and the others had been soaking in the cesspool all this time. If you can think of it, how can the young master not think of it? They are on our side. Listen to his orders later. Xingde said secretly. On our side? Wang Changyuan was stunned. Could it be that these people were also imposters? Xingde didn't say anything else. With an extremely vigilant look, he stared at Wang Changyuan and said, Don't play tricks. Let's exchange. It's you who shouldn't play tricks. Wang Changyuan snorted coldly. The two of them released the people around them almost at the same time. Then, with the people they wanted to save, they returned to Qin Feiyong and the Blood Hall Master respectively. Father, kill them quickly. Pei Dason roared immediately. Grandfather, you have to uphold justice for us. You can't let them leave alive. Pei Wanli also roared furiously. Looking at Qin Feiyong and the others, his eyes were full of resentment. The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons looked at each other. A cold light flashed in their eyes. At the same time, Qin Feiyong, White-Eyed Wolf, Frenzy, Xingde, and Yueqing also looked at Yi Miao and the 5 imposters with joy. Miao Miao, sorry for making you suffer. Yueqing took out the divine life pill and handed it to Yi Miao. It's okay. Isn't there a saying? One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune in the future. Yi Miao took the pill and put it into her mouth. Yes, yes, yes. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune in the future. Yueqing nodded repeatedly. Yi Miao turned to look at Qin Feiyong and said apologetically, Qindage, I'm sorry for causing you trouble. It's okay. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Do it. At the moment when Qin Feiyong and the others were celebrating, the Blood Hall Master suddenly roared. The 5 imposters, who were originally without any aura, suddenly burst out with a terrifying aura. Obviously, their sea of qi was destroyed. It was all an act. In their eyes, there was also a shocking murderous intent. At the same time, the Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons also revealed a sinister smile in their eyes. In such a situation where they were unprepared, even overlords like them would not be able to react, let alone this group of ants who had not even reached the peak sovereign realm. They would definitely die. However, they did not notice that the moment the 5 imposters released their auras, Qin Feiyong and the others had a hint of mockery in their eyes. Then, without waiting for the 5 imposters to attack, Xing Dong stretched out his hands and threw a punch at the 2 fire pythons. At the same time, 2 light figures shot out from Qin Feiyong's sleeves like lightning and went straight for the Mermaid Emperor and Black Wing Emperor's foreheads. It was the Black Dragon and the Fire Wand. Clang! Accompanied by a loud sound, a halberd appeared from Qin Feiyang's body and quickly attacked the Alliance Master. This halberd was the supreme-level divine artifact that Old Hai had given to Nie Ziang, the dragon-subduing halberd, the Black Dragon, Fire Wand, and the dragon-subduing halberd. The former was hidden in Qin Feiyang's sleeves, while the latter was hidden in Qin Feiyang's body. How would the 5 imposters know that Qin Feiyang still had this hidden move? They were originally full of confidence, but when this sudden change occurred, they immediately panicked. Previously, in order to kill with one blow, they deliberately got close to Qin Feiyang and the others. Now, they were standing together with Qin Feiyang and the others. It could be described as zero distance. It was so sudden, and with such a distance and panic, how could they react? Chapter 33-32. Not to mention the 5 imposters, even the big shots of the blood hall were caught off guard. Almost at the same time, the 5 imposters screamed in pain. The heads of the 2 fire pythons burst open on the spot. The Mermaid Emperor and White-Winged Emperor were the same. The Black Dragon and Fire Wand grabbed their heads with their claws and crushed them on the spot. The fake Alliance Master was even more miserable. The dragon-subduing halberd slashed down furiously and split him in half. Blood flowed everywhere. The 5 imposters were all perfect sovereigns, but before they could unleash their true strength, their blood splattered everywhere. The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons were dumbfounded. Their meticulous plan was broken just like that? Not to mention killing these imposters, they didn't even suffer any injuries. Was this what they thought was flawless? What a joke! What a joke! Are you surprised? Are you surprised? The white-eyed wolf glanced at the group of big shots with a mocking look in his eyes. Xingda, the Black Dragon, Fire Lotus, Qin Feiyang, and Frenzy also had mocking looks on their faces. Only Yueqing and Yi Miao were stunned. Yi Miao had been imprisoned in the Blood Hall, so it was impossible for her to know about Qin Feiyang's plan. As for Yueqing, although she had stayed in the Black Tortoise world during this period, she didn't participate in the plan. Therefore, she didn't know much. When she came back to her senses, she immediately cast an admiring look at Qin Feiyang and the others. The Blood Hall's meticulous plan didn't succeed. Instead, Qin Feiyang and the others seized the opportunity to beat them at their own game, catching them off guard. Who could you find a reason with? This plan was simply hair-raising. Why? Why did it become like this? The Blood Hall Master and the others muttered, unable to accept this fact. Sorry, I won another round by luck. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Luck. That's right, this is luck. Blood Hall's Hall Master and the others mumbled. Ever since Qin Feiyang came to the Western continent, the 9 Dragon Mountain Range had been in a state of lockdown. All information was blocked, so it was impossible for these people to know about their plan in advance. But that's not right. The dragon-subduing halberd, the Black Dragon, the Fire Wand, and Xingda were clearly prepared. What exactly went wrong? Victory or defeat depends not only on strength, but also on brains. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Since you've given me such a big surprise, I'll return the favor. Qin Feiyang chuckled and looked at Wang Changyuan, Pei Wanli, and the others. Surprise? The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons were taken aback. Boom. The next moment, dozens of terrifying auras erupted behind them. Wang Changyuan, who had been lurking for a long time, finally revealed his sharp fangs. The originally bloody and miserable appearance of Pei Wanli and the rest instantly disappeared without a trace. Moreover, the aura that erupted from most of them was much weaker than Wang Changyuan's. In an instant, all sorts of profound meanings appeared. More than half of them had comprehended the 5th profound, and only a small portion had comprehended the 4th. What's going on? The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons were shocked and hurriedly turned around. Just as they turned around, various profound meanings and super skills arrived. One must know. The reason why Qin Feiyang and the others could kill the 5 imposters was because they knew beforehand. However, The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons had no idea beforehand and were not mentally prepared. Moreover, Wang Changyuan and the rest were standing right behind them, and there was almost no distance between them. With such a sudden change and such a short distance, even if they were giants with powerful means, it was impossible for them to react in time. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering explosion, dozens of profound meanings shot out and drowned the 10 of them in an instant. Although the Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons had comprehended the supreme profound, their cultivation was only at the sovereign realm after all. If they activated their ultimate profound meanings, they would definitely be able to crush their opponents like crushing dry weeds. However, they had no time to activate it now. All sorts of profound meanings turned into storms and ravaged their bodies crazily. In an instant, they were drenched in blood. Qin Feiyang looked at the Blood Hall Master and the other 9 deacons silently. Although the sneak attack was successful, it was obviously wishful thinking to kill the 10 of them or cripple their sea of qi. Because all 10 of them definitely had a supreme-level heaven-defying divine artifact protecting them. Moreover, the Blood Hall Master still had 2 sovereign divine weapons. As expected, clang! Accompanied by loud noises, a set of armor appeared on the Blood Hall Master and the other 9 deacons. Divine power surged and blocked the storm that swept over. However, it was only a supreme weapon after all, and not a sovereign weapon. The profound meanings and super skills that Wang Changyuan and the rest had derived were mostly the 5th profound, and only a portion of them were the 4th profound. Naturally, the armor couldn't last for too long. With a series of cracking sounds, it kept shattering. However, at this moment, the Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons finally reacted, and their chaotic minds calmed down. Immediately, the Blood Hall Master unleashed a monstrous aura. Oh no! Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. He looked at Wang Changyuan and the rest and shouted, "Come over quickly!" Wang Changyuan and the rest immediately teleported and rushed to Qin Feiyang's side at lightning speed. Clang! At the same time, the Blood Hall Master waved his hand, and the Ice Dragon's sacred sword appeared again. The sharpness tore through the surroundings, and the storm formed by the profound meanings was annihilated on the spot without any resistance. A sovereign weapon is indeed not to be trifled with. Wang Changyuan and the rest trembled and their faces turned pale. Just this pressure alone was enough to make their scalps go numb. The Blood Hall Master held the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and slowly turned to look at Wang Changyuan and the rest. The 9 deacons also took a divine life pill and stared at Wang Changyuan and the rest gloomily. "Reveal your true identities." Qin Feiyang smiled. Hearing this, Pei Wanli and the rest looked at each other and took out a facial restoration pill and threw it into their mouths. In just a short while, everyone's appearance had changed greatly. They were not Pei Wanli and the rest, but the middle-aged man and the rest of the 57 Dark Guards, as well as Xia Yuan and the rest. Because the overlords had too many family members, 57 Dark Guards were not enough. So Qin Feiyang let some of the divine generals make up the numbers. As for the original body of Pei Wanli and the rest, there was no doubt that they were still soaking in the soul-sealing valley. The 9 deacons looked at Wang Changyuan and the 57 Dark Guards in disbelief. "Sorry, we have forsaken the darkness for the light." Wang Changyuan smiled coldly. Forsaken the darkness for the light. The 9 deacons clenched their hands and finally knew what went wrong. It turned out that Wang Changyuan had betrayed them. The Blood Hall Master said gloomily, "What about the Alliance Master and the rest? Do you still need to ask?" Wang Changyuan smiled mockingly. "You deserve to die." The Blood Hall Master was furious. "You deserve to die." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. "You are an overlord of the Sky Cloud realm, but you used such despicable means to deal with us juniors. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit." The Blood Hall Master said. "Well said. But the reality is that I have won another round." "How is it? The feeling of being schemed against is not bad, right? In fact, I am just giving you a taste of your own medicine." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The Blood Hall's Hall Master had used a fake to scheme against him, so he could also use a fake to scheme against the Blood Hall's Hall Master. In any case, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. After saying that, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Xia Yuan and the other divine generals to the Black Tortoise realm. Their strength was still too weak, and they wouldn't be of much use in the battle. But Wang Changyuan and the 57 Dark Guards were different. They were all perfect sovereigns. Not to mention other things, they could at least put up a fight. Huff. The Blood Hall Master took a deep breath and then with a thought, a horsetail whisk appeared and a terrifying divine aura shook the surroundings. Pay the price for what you have done. Following the Blood Hall Master's roar, the two divine weapons of the sovereigns were fully awakened. They shattered the heavens and the earth and charged toward Qin Feiyang and the others. The 9-dragon mountain range below was reduced to ashes in an instant. Even the nearby cities were razed to the ground. Fortunately, the living beings in the area had moved away in advance. Otherwise, it would have been a scene of misery and suffering with blood flowing like a river. Clang! Just as the two divine weapons of the sovereigns were awakened, an earth-shattering sound was heard. The ancient castle appeared out of thin air, and its divine aura filled the sky. It shouted, "All of you, back off." The white-eyed wolf waved its claws and swept up Qin Feiyang and the others. Then, it activated the moment of time and retreated to the edge of the 9-dragon mountain range in an instant. This is the moment of time. The Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons were stunned. The news was true. This wolf cub had mastered the supreme profundity of the law of time. But what exactly was going on? The supreme profundity of the law of death, and now the supreme profundity of the law of time. Was its talent so heaven-defying? Because they didn't know the white-eyed wolf's talent yet, they were all in disbelief. Clang! Rumble! The ancient castle and the two divine weapons of the sovereigns had already clashed. The battle between the divine weapons of the sovereigns was not something that Qin Feiyang and the others could interfere with. Just the aura alone was enough to kill them. Therefore, not only Qin Feiyang and the others, but even the Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons also hid far away. Why haven't the Alliance Master and the others arrived yet? Are they messing with us? The madman raised his eyebrows. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. If the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and the Demonic Palace didn't come, then even if he activated the Slaughter Zone, they wouldn't have any chance of winning this battle. This was because he and the ancient castle had to deal with the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk. The remaining madman, the white-eyed wolf, Xingda, Wang Changyuan, and a group of secret guards were no match for the Blood Hall and the 9 deacons. Not to mention, Xingda also said that the Blood Hall had at least a few thousand sovereigns. These people must be hiding somewhere and waiting for an opportunity to strike. Therefore, he had to see the Demonic Palace and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance arrive before he could activate the Slaughter Zone. Otherwise, it would be a waste of blood. One had to know. Chapter 33:33. All Master, even with the 2 sovereign divine weapons, it will take some time to destroy the ancient castle. We can't wait for them to finish their battle. One of them looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons and said in a deep voice, "That's right. What if Qin Feiyang and the others inform the Devil Hall and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? At that time, those 2 forces will rush over to reinforce us. So now, we have to end the battle quickly and get rid of them." The other deacons spoke one after another. The Blood Hall Master's eyes darkened. He looked at the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk and shouted, "Go to the Star River." The 2 sovereign divine weapons immediately joined forces and forcibly lifted the ancient castle and rushed toward the Star River. Qin Feiyang, Madmanimo, your end is here. The Blood Hall Master laughed and immediately activated the supreme profundity of the law of time, charging toward Qin Feiyang and the others. Not good. They're coming. Wang Changyuan's expression changed. This seems to be the instant time, the white-eyed wolf said in a deep voice. The instant time was extremely fast. The 10 of them would soon arrive. If the Demon Hall and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance did not arrive, they would be in a very bad situation. Retreat. Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and decisively ordered, taking out the space-time gate. As for the ancient castle that entered the Star River, As long as it wanted to leave, the horsetail whisk and the ice dragon's sacred sword would not be able to stop it. "Want to leave?" The hall master of the blood hall sneered and shouted, "Everyone, come out." His voice was like a bell, reverberating in all directions. Immediately, terrifying auras erupted around the Nine-Dragon Mountain range. Following closely, figures continued to rush out from the ground, each of them with unfathomable cultivation. This, Wang Changyuan and the 57 secret guards' expressions changed. Yueqing and Yimiao also turned pale. Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf's eyes darkened slightly. These people were all sovereigns of the Great Perfection Realm. There were more than 5,000 of them, all wearing black robes and emitting a murderous aura. They were indeed hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Kill. As soon as the Blood Hall Master gave the order, the 5,000 paramount sovereigns immediately charged over and activated their profundities. A Great Perfection Sovereign Realm expert had already grasped 6/5 profound meanings. There were more than 5,000 perfect sovereigns, which meant that there were more than 30,000 types of fifth profound. What kind of scene was this? Even Wang Changyuan broke out in cold sweat when faced with such a lineup. Although he had grasped the supreme profundity of the law of lightning and could instantly kill other perfect sovereigns, there was still a limit. Each golden lotus was only the size of a palm. They looked like they were made of gold and emitted a dazzling divine light. The power was even more shocking. Before the fifth profundities could get close, they were crushed by the power of the 10 golden lotuses. This was the supreme profundities of the law of karma. These 10 golden lotuses were formed by the power of karma. They seemed to be surrounded by golden flames. They looked exceptionally beautiful, but they also contained a monstrous, murderous aura. This was the first time he had seen the supreme profundities of the law of karma. He yearned for it. Elder Hua looked at the Hall of Famers and laughed hoarsely. "Let's attack too." "All right, let's compete and see who can kill more." The Hall of Famers nodded. Whoosh! The two of them activated the moment of time at the same time. They stepped on the river of time and instantly appeared behind the two secret guards. They raised their hands and slapped them. The two secret guards spat out mouthfuls of blood as their sea of chi shattered on the spot. Following that, the two of them activated the moment of time and attacked their next target. Although the moment of time did not have powerful killing power, its speed was unparalleled. The two of them merged with the river of time and were like two rulers of time. Before the secret guards could react, they had already been severely injured. In just a few breaths, more than a dozen secret guards had fallen. They are all so powerful. The mad scientist clenched his fists. Yeah, Qin Feiyang nodded. If they did not have the ancient castle and the kill symbol art, they would not even have a chance to fight back in front of these giants. Kill. Xingda, Hualuan, Heilong, and the 57 secret guards could not help but feel their blood boil when they saw this scene. They activated their fifth profundities and displayed their abilities. Although they were not as powerful as the Demon Hall Masters, they could at least be of some help. On the other hand, the mad scientist and the white-eyed wolf did not know what to do. They wanted to make a move, but they were not strong enough. They felt that it was too embarrassing to just watch. In short, they were a little unhappy. The white-eyed wolf even had an impulse. Why don't I just stop being picky and merge with a few different laws to raise my cultivation to the perfected sovereign realm? Then, with two supreme profundities of the law of karma, wouldn't I be able to kill gods and demons in my way? However, I can't bear to waste my chances. After all, I can only merge 6 times. No, I have already merged twice. Now, I only have 4 left. On one hand, I am envious of the strength of the Alliance Master and the others. On the other hand, I don't want to make up the numbers. Chapter 33-34. Boom. Suddenly, a deafening sound came from within the Milky Way. Not good. Qin Feiyang's expression changed slightly. He was too happy and forgot that the ancient castle was still fighting alone in the Star River. He quickly looked at the Demon Hall Master and asked, "Hall Master, Can I borrow your sovereign divine weapon? The demon hall's hall master smiled. He waved his hand, and a scarlet sword appeared. Its sharpness immediately swept across the sky. Not good. Seeing the appearance of the sovereign divine weapon, the people from the Blood Hall felt like they were in the abyss. Thank you. Qin Feiyang thanked him and grabbed the scarlet sword. He looked at Xingda, Wang Changyuan, Frenzy, White-Eyed Wolf, and the 57 secret guards and said, I have a mission for you. The group stopped and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, We are enough here. Go and contact Wang Dafu. You must find Old Hai. Why do you want to find him? The White-Eyed Wolf was puzzled. Didn't you see? All the resources of the Blood Hall have disappeared. They are most likely with him. Because the Blood Hall Master and the 9 Great Deacons are going to fight with us, the possibility of them having the resources is not high. There is one more important thing. Old Hai has grasped the space-time law. Qin Feiyang looked at the White-Eyed Wolf and smiled meaningfully. Space-time law. The White-Eyed Wolf became spirited and roared, If you didn't remind me, I would have forgotten about it. His original plan was to capture the Blood Hall Master and snatch his space-time law. However, his plan couldn't keep up with the changes. A secret guard commander appeared midway. After snatching the space-time law from the secret guard commander, the Blood Hall Master was no longer valuable to him. Therefore, finding Old Hai was the most important thing now. As long as he could find Old Hai and snatch his space-time law, he would be able to break through to the Sovereign Realm. At that time, even a perfect Sovereign Realm expert wouldn't be a match for the 3 supreme laws. At the thought of this, White-Eyed Wolf couldn't control the excitement in his heart. He roared, Xingda, hurry up. Contact Wang Dafu and see if he has found Old Hai's whereabouts. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He summoned Snowflake and said, Follow them. All right. Snowflake replied, Go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Snowflake immediately opened a space-time tunnel. Under the lead of White-Eyed Wolf, a group of people immediately rushed into the space-time tunnel. Madman glanced at the space-time tunnel, then turned to Qin Feiyang and said, Be careful. Although we have the advantage now, don't forget that Ice Dragon is behind the Blood Hall. Ice Dragon, Qin Feiyang murmured. He nodded and said, I will. The same goes for your side. We must not let Old Hai escape. This old thing deserved to be killed more than anyone else. At that time, if Old Hua hadn't intercepted him, the situation that Mermaid Princess would have faced was unimaginable. At that time in the Great Qin Empire, if the Mermaid Princess hadn't taken the initiative to follow Old Hai and Pei Wanli, his family and friends would have died in their hands. From the moment he entered the Sky Cloud realm, he had already put Old Hai on his must-kill list. Now that he had this opportunity, he naturally wouldn't let it go. Don't worry. Madman laughed and entered the space-time tunnel without looking back. Snowflake also rushed in. Everyone from the Blood Hall saw this scene. Although they didn't know what Qin Feiyang was planning, they didn't need to think to know that he was plotting something against their Blood Hall by letting Madman and the others leave at this time. But even if they could think of it, they were powerless to stop it. After the space-time tunnel closed, Qin Feiyang withdrew his gaze and looked at the Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons. The 10 of them had already stopped. Looking at Qin Feiyang, the Alliance Master, and the others, their expressions were extremely ugly. There was only one thought in their minds now, and that was to escape. However, facing the Alliance Master, Vice Alliance Master, Hall of the Exalted Hall Master, Old Hua, and Chu Yun, it wasn't easy for them to escape. Although he had the instant time, which was a heaven-defying supreme ultimacy, Elder Hua and the Master of the Hall of Exalted had also mastered this supreme ultimacy. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the Alliance Master and the Hall Master and said, I'll leave this to you. He wanted to personally destroy the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword. Of course, if the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword could be used by him, then he could let bygones be bygones. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, he sent Yueqing and Yi-Miao to the Black Tortoise Realm. Then, he took a step forward and rushed into the sky. Fortunately, he's not coming for us. Seeing Qin Feiyang rushing toward the galaxy with the red long sword, The 9 deacons couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. They originally thought that Qin Feiyong was going to kill them. Wouldn't it be child's play for a sovereign divine weapon to kill them? Are you okay? Are you all stupid? If Qin Feiyong didn't go to the galaxy, then the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the other 2 sovereign divine weapons would definitely win. As long as we can delay them for a while and wait for them to destroy the ancient castle and come to our aid, then we still have hope. But now, Qin Feiyong is going to help the ancient castle with the Demon Hall's sovereign divine weapon. You should know that Qin Feiyong still hasn't opened the slaughter zone. At that time, the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and our sovereign divine weapon won't be a match for them. When the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the other 2 are destroyed, then it will be the end of the Blood Hall. The Blood Hall Master shouted angrily. Hearing this, the 10 deacons' expressions froze. Their hearts, which had just calmed down, were in their throats again. Escape? We can't escape anymore. It's best to prepare for a fight to the death, the Blood Hall Master said gloomily. He looked at the 6 leaders of the Demon Hall and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and shouted, "What did Qin Feiyong give you to make you work so hard for him?" Work hard? Saying something like that only shows that you are still too narrow-minded. Qin Feiyong is the disciple of the vice leader of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Madman Emo is the disciple of the Hall of Famers of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Most importantly, they saved us. This is no longer a matter of who is working hard for whom. It's a matter of a family helping a family. The Alliance Master sneered. The eyes of the Shun Meng couple on his shoulder were also full of mockery. The Blood Hall Master looked at the Alliance Master gloomily, then looked at the Demon Hall Master and said angrily, "What about your Demon Hall? The relationship between my Devil Hall and Qin Feiyong's group is not shallow, but then again, we have to thank your Blood Hall for helping us." The Demon Hall Master smiled. "What do you mean?" The Blood Hall Master raised his eyebrows. "Do you still remember when Old Hai and your grandson, Pei Wanli, went to the lower realm to capture Qin Feiyong's lover? At that time, I didn't know what was going on. I was purely curious, so I asked Old Hua to take a look. But I didn't expect to meet Old Hai and Pei Wanli. In the end, because of Old Hua's help, Qin Feiyong saved his lover from Old Hai and Pei Wanli. Since then, our Demon Hall has established a friendly relationship with Qin Feiyong. What's more, he came to our eastern continent. Look, they didn't go anywhere in the 4 continents of the Sky Cloud realm. They just had to come to our eastern continent. Sometimes, we have to admit that fate does exist." The Demon Hall Master chuckled. The Blood Hall Master clenched his fists. He should have sent more people to the lower realm. With more people, even if Old Hua came to mess things up, he would definitely be able to successfully bring that woman back to the Blood Hall. It could be said that Qin Feiyong's woman was more valuable than anyone else. Unfortunately, it was useless to regret it now. Of course, you might think that we are cooperating with Qin Feiyong and Little Lunatic purely for benefits, but that's not the case, because not only are they disciples of our Demon Hall, Qin Feiyong's sister is also Old Hua's direct disciple. By the way, let me tell you a secret. Old Hua's disciple also grasps the time law. So I agree with what the Alliance Master said just now. This is no longer a matter of who is working for who, but a family helping a family. The Demon Hall Master smiled. Time law. The Blood Hall Master's eyes trembled. Qin Feiyong grasped the cause and effect law, Lunatic grasped the death law, and that wolf cub was even more ridiculous. He grasped the 2 supreme profundities of the supreme laws. Now, there was a woman who grasped the time law. What kind of monsters were this group of people? The most hateful thing was the Demon Hall and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance were originally enemies, but because of Qin Feiyong and Madman Emo, the 2 forces turned from enemies to friends and joined forces to deal with the Blood Hall. If there was only one side, they would still be confident. Because without the sovereign divine weapon, the strength of the giants of the various forces was about the same. But now, the 2 forces had joined forces. This was a completely overwhelming situation for the Blood Hall. If the Grand Deacon is not dead, the Dark Guard Commander and Old Hai are both here, we might be able to hold on for a while, but now, where did the Dark Guard Commander go? The 9 deacons were extremely annoyed. Qin Feiyang hasn't told us about the Dark Guard commander yet? The Alliance Master was slightly taken aback and looked at the 9 deacons suspiciously. The 9 deacons were stunned. Looking at the Alliance Master's expression, an uneasy premonition suddenly rose in their hearts. It seems that Qin Feiyang really hasn't told you. Well, I'll tell you out of kindness. The Dark Guard commander has already died in the hands of Qin Feiyang. The Alliance Master chuckled. What? The eyes of the Blood Hall Master and the 9 deacons trembled. He was already dead. This damn little bastard killed the Grand Deacon, forced Old High to self-destruct, and now killed the Dark Guard commander, causing the Blood Hall to lose 3 generals. Although Old High was not dead, his body and divine soul had not been reconstructed, so he had no combat power at all. This was no different from being dead. The Blood Hall Master closed his eyes in pain. They had never imagined that the Blood Hall, the dignified overlord of the Western continent, who ruled over a region, would actually be forced by Qin Feiyang to such an extent that they would suffer heavy casualties. This little bastard must die, even if it means perishing together with him. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, and a blood-red murderous aura soared into the sky like a god of death. He roared, "Today, either you die or I die. Kill." He activated the moment of time and instantly landed in front of the Alliance Master. The power of law rolled out and punched at the Alliance Master. The 9 deacons looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They activated the power of law and attacked crazily. Now, they had no choice but to fight to the death. Chapter 33-35. Clang. Clang. The 3 sovereign divine weapons had already reached the depths of the Star River. They were nowhere to be seen, and only deafening collisions could be heard. When Qin Feiyang entered the Star River, all he saw was chaos, as if it was the beginning of the world. Terrifying fluctuations turned into hurricanes that roared in the chaos. Please. Qin Feiyang looked at the crimson sword in his hand. The crimson sword buzzed, and waves of sword chi appeared, forming a sword chi barrier that protected Qin Feiyang inside. Clang. Following that, the crimson sword slashed through the air, and a sword light tore through the chaos, heading straight for the depths of the Star River, opening a safe passage. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he took a step forward, following the passage, rushing into the depths of the Star River. Deep inside, the ancient castle's situation was extremely bad. Under the suppression of the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk, its entire body had been shattered, and its divine light had dimmed. In the end, you will still die in my hands. The artifact spirit of the Ice Dragon's sacred sword laughed loudly. Without holding back, it crazily attacked the ancient castle. Every time it attacked, the ancient castle would shatter. Isn't it too early to discuss the outcome of the battle? The ancient castle snorted coldly, and its tone was already weak. Too early? Don't tell me you're still thinking that Qin Feiyang will come and save you. Stop dreaming. Right now, he probably can't even protect himself. The Ice Dragon's sacred sword sneered, and terrifying sword chi tore through the surroundings, causing another fatal blow to the ancient castle. The horsetail whisk did not say a word throughout the entire process, but its attack speed was even faster and more ruthless than the Ice Dragon's sacred sword. This was because it did not have any enmity with the ancient castle. They were on completely different sides, each serving their own master. The Ice Dragon's sacred sword was different. From the time in the ancient world, the grudge had already begun. Most importantly, the Ice Dragon was like a mountain that it could not resist. Last time in the ancient realm, it had failed to protect the dragons, and the Ice Dragon was already very angry. Now, with such a good opportunity, if it couldn't destroy the ancient castle and kill Qin Feiyang, then not to mention Qin Feiyang, even the Ice Dragon might not let it off. Although it was a sovereign weapon, the strongest weapon in the world, there were still things it was afraid of. Clang. However, at this moment, a sword chi tore through the sky and charged over. The Ice Dragon's sacred sword was startled. This is the sovereign divine weapon of the Devil Palace. Why is it here? Could it be that the people from the Devil Palace are here as well? The horsetail Whisk was bewildered. What did I just say? It's still too early to talk about victory and defeat. Gucho sneered. It was because it was very clear about Qin Feiyang's plan. The demonic royal hall was not the only one who had come to provide reinforcements. There was also the Loose Cultivator Alliance. Similarly, the appearance of the Devil Hall's sovereign divine weapon meant that Qin Feiyang had also come. As expected, the next moment, a figure walked out of the primal chaos and appeared in front of the three divine weaponess, Qin Feiyang. The Ice Dragon's sacred sword exclaimed in disbelief. He actually had the time to come up and provide support? Could it be that the battle below had it already ended? Qin Feiyang stepped on the storm and arrived. The crimson sword in his hand was so sharp that it could destroy the world. He swept his gaze across the two sovereign divine weapons and said coldly, "You have all personally witnessed the fate of the dragon god's sword. Now, I will give you all a chance to submit to me and serve me loyally." Submit to you? The Ice Dragon's sacred sword mocked. Are you as powerful as the Ice Dragon? You still want me to submit to you? You must be dreaming. The Ice Dragon is very powerful, but I believe that one day I will definitely surpass it. Qin Feiyang spoke word by word. Surpass it? Haha, this is the funniest joke this sovereign has ever heard. Do you know its cultivation? Do you know the backer behind it? You actually want to surpass it? Are you still dreaming? The Ice Dragon's sacred sword laughed out loud. This was the first time it had seen such a naive human. Cut the crap. I'll ask you one last time. Do you want to submit? If you want to submit after I open the slaughter domain, I won't give you the chance again. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. In your dreams, the Ice Dragon's sacred sword roared and crazily rushed towards the ancient castle. The horsetail Whisk was the same. They knew how powerful Qin Feiyang's slaughter domain was, so they wanted to get rid of the ancient castle first. Only then would they have the ability to fight against Qin Feiyang and the Crimson Sword. However, how difficult would it be to destroy a sovereign divine weapon? For example, last time, Qin Feiyang and Little Wimp worked together to destroy the Dragon God Sword. Not only did they consume a large amount of source energy, they also spent a very long time to destroy the Dragon God Sword God. At this moment, they would at most be able to heavily damage the ancient castle. However, Qin Feiyang had already killed his way over, so he naturally wouldn't give them the chance. Since that's the case, I can only send you to hell. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the crimson sword in his hand instantly recovered. The surrounding galaxy instantly turned into nothingness, and then he slashed towards the two sovereign divine weapons. Slaughter domain. Open. At the same time, Qin Feiyang descended above the western region's blood sea, and with a loud roar, the slaughter domain opened. The blood of the entire sea of blood immediately turned into a torrent, surging towards the slaughter domain from all directions. The entire sky was dyed blood red. It's the aura of the slaughter domain. I really want to see who exactly the Lord Ruler is fighting with. If you want to see, just tell the Lord Ruler. He will definitely satisfy us. Right, Lord Ruler. Let us see the battle outside. The aura of the slaughter domain was too strong, and it instantly alarmed the creatures around the sea of blood. There were humans and berserk beasts. Their eyes were filled with curiosity and anticipation. Somewhere in the blood sea, Pai Lupi and Theta Wong stood side by side. They had been calling for everyone to donate blood, and when they heard everyone's cries, they were slightly stunned. Should we inform the Lord Ruler? Theta Wong asked with a hint of curiosity in her eyes. Pai Lupi pondered for a moment and nodded. Everyone is willing to donate blood without asking for anything in return. I personally feel that we should satisfy their small wish. However, the Lord Ruler is fighting, so let's not disturb him. Let's go find Miss Fire Lotus. Okay. Theta Wong immediately took out the Divine Voice Stone. Fire Lotus was currently meditating in a mountain somewhere. When she received Pai Lupi's message, she pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. Then she took a step into the sky and pointed her jade-like hand in the air. For a moment, not only around the Blood Sea, but also in the eastern region, northern region, southern region, central region, and the Devil's Land. Huge images constantly appeared. Look, it's the battle outside. It looks like the Milky Way. That looks like the Lord Ruler's divine weapon, the ancient castle. What? The ancient castle was actually damaged? Are those three divine weapons also Lord Ruler's divine weapons? Fortunately, that crimson sword seems to be the Lord Ruler's ally. Not only the Lord Ruler's divine weapon and the ancient castle, but it also points to disaster. Living beings everywhere immediately raised their heads and stared at the images in the sky. In short, at this moment, every living being in the Black Tortoise world was watching the battle. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the blood in the Blood Sea of the western region had disappeared. Qin Feiyang's crimson sword's aura also became more and more terrifying. However, he suppressed its sharpness so that it would not hurt the living beings around the Blood Sea. Outside, with the crimson sword's help, the pressure on the ancient castle was greatly reduced. However, the ancient castle was still damaged and could not display its peak strength. Therefore, the crimson sword was also suppressed by the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk. However, it was still the same saying. It was difficult to damage a Lord Ruler's divine weapon, but it was even more difficult to destroy one. Not only did it require time, but it also required overwhelming battle strength. Faster, faster. When Qin Feiyang opens the slaughter domain, it will be the end of us. The Ice Dragon's sacred sword roared. Although the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk had the upper hand, they were more anxious than the ancient castle and the crimson sword. Because Qin Feiyang could come out at any time, they had already experienced the power of the slaughter domain. When Qin Feiyang came out, with the ancient castle and the crimson sword, the situation would be reversed in an instant. At that time, they would only be able to escape. However, the crimson sword was not easy to deal with. It did not want to clash with the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk, because now there was no need for it to risk its life. If it risked its life now, not only would it not be able to defeat the Ice Dragon Godsword and the horsetail whisk, it would also be heavily injured. As a Lord Ruler's divine weapon, it would definitely not do such a stupid thing. Therefore, its current mission was to stall and maintain its peak strength until Qin Feiyang came out. Then, they would join forces to counterattack. What does this have to do with you? Why are you interfering? The horsetail whisk was also burning with anxiety and couldn't help but roar at the crimson sword. Everyone has their own master. The crimson sword replied indifferently. Demon Palace, Qin Feiyang. Are they worth you working so hard for? Why don't you come to us? The horsetail whisk said. Hearing this, the Ice Dragon's sacred sword's heart moved, and also said, That's right. If you come to us, we will introduce you to the Ice Dragon. The strength of the Ice Dragon has already reached the peak of perfection, not to mention a mere Qin Feiyang. Even the big shots of the Sky Cloud realm are not his match. It sounds quite tempting. The Crimson Sword sneered, and then said, However, since the Ice Dragon is so powerful, then why didn't it just kill Qin Feiyang? The Ice Dragon's sacred sword was stunned, not knowing how to answer. Let this lord tell you, why didn't the Ice Dragon kill Qin Feiyang? Although this lord doesn't know much about Qin Feiyang and the Ice Dragon, this lord knows that there must be a big shot behind Qin Feiyang, and this big shot is even feared by the Ice Dragon, so it didn't dare to personally make a move. In other words, you are just pawns in the Ice Dragon's hands. The Crimson Sword sneered. Finally, I met someone who understands. Gubao chuckled. When the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk heard this, their hearts couldn't help but sink. Was that really the case? Don't say it. There really was such a possibility. Otherwise, how could the Ice Dragon's actions be explained? Because with the Ice Dragon's strength, it was too easy to kill Qin Feiyang. It could even be said that it was as easy as waving its hand, but it was unwilling to personally make a move. Even when the dragons were destroyed by Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the others, the Ice Dragon didn't make a move. What kind of mystery was hidden in this? Chapter 33-36. Although the Crimson Sword said that to stall for time, it made sense. The Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk couldn't help but ponder in their hearts. They had always believed that the Ice Dragon would kill Qin Feiyong sooner or later, which was why they followed the Ice Dragon loyally. But now, there was a trace of doubt. Clang. It was also at this moment, accompanied by an earth-shaking sword howl. A monstrous killing intent surged out of thin air. The river of stars immediately trembled as if a god of death was shattering the river of time and space and stepping into the world. The Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk were also shocked. Swish. In the next moment, a blood-red figure descended in the void in front of them. It was Qin Feiyong. Within the slaughter domain, blood surged. Qin Feiyong's entire body was bathed in blood. The blood-red sword in his hand was formed by killing intent. It was terrifying beyond compare. Qin Feiyong looked at the ancient castle and said with a smile, "You rest for a while?" And the castle responded and disappeared into thin air without a trace. Qin Feiyong looked at the Ice Dragon's sacred sword and the horsetail whisk. His eyes emitted a fiery killing intent as he said coldly, "Let's begin." Clang. As soon as his voice fell, Qin Feiyong took a step forward and attacked the Ice Dragon's sacred sword. The grudge between him and the Ice Dragon's sacred sword had been going on for more than a day or two. Today, he would completely end it. What kind of blood does the Black Tortoise world have? Why are you able to open the slaughter domain every time? The Ice Dragon's sacred sword roared, and the sword chi that could shatter heaven and earth turned into a torrent that charged towards Qin Feiyong. There are some things that you will never understand. Qin Feiyong smiled indifferently and waved the blood-red sword in his hand. A wave of sword chi roared out. Boom. The two waves of sword chi collided and the starry sky within 100 million miles collapsed. The scene of the end of the world was nothing more than this. You don't understand? Do you think this sovereign is a 3-year-old child? When I roamed the world, you weren't even born yet. The Ice Dragon holy sword roared, and layers of frost appeared. In an instant, it swept through the sky, and the collapsed galaxy turned into a world of ice and snow. The cold wind was bone-piercing, as if it wanted to freeze the entire galaxy. Qin Feiyong's body and the surging blood in the slaughter domain also showed signs of being frozen. A bone-piercing cold current swept through his entire body. Even the blood-red longsword was quickly covered in a layer of frost. One had to know that the power of the blood-colored longsword had reached the level of a sovereign divine weapon. To be able to freeze even the blood-colored longsword. One could imagine that this was definitely not an ordinary attack from the Ice Dragon's sacred sword. Die for this sovereign. The Ice Dragon holy sword laughed sinisterly, and huge ice dragons appeared out of thin air. Their bodies were all tens of thousands of meters long, and they were like majestic mountain ridges, overflowing with ferocious might. Ding! It was unknown just how many there were. They were densely packed and occupied a large area of the starry sky. Crush him. Following the Ice Dragon holy sword's words, countless ice dragons immediately roared into the sky and pounced towards Qin Feiyong. Clang. At the same time, the blood-colored longsword that was about to be frozen suddenly trembled. A blood-colored flame rose up, and the frost on it began to rapidly melt. This flame was not fire. It did not even have the temperature of fire. This was murderous intent, a substantial murderous intent. After the blood-red flame melted the frost on the blood-colored longsword, it rushed towards Qin Feiyong. The frost on Qin Feiyong's body also immediately melted. Immediately after, the flame surged towards the entire slaughter domain. At this moment, the frozen blood seemed to be burning. The stronger the flame, the more terrifying the murderous intent. Ding! Suddenly, accompanied by a dragon's roar, the flame turned into a huge blood dragon that constantly rushed out of the slaughter domain. It was also densely packed. Those blood dragons were all condensed from murderous intent. The moment the blood dragons appeared, the murderous intent was earth-shattering, flooding in all directions. Crack! The frost that filled the sky immediately began to crack and collapse crazily. Kill! Qin Feiyong also roared angrily. Accompanied by a series of dragons' roars, the blood dragons carried monstrous power and charged towards the ice dragons opposite them. Rumble! They met in an instant. Whether it was the blood dragons or the ice dragons, they were like comets that constantly collided with each other. A terrifying destructive aura rolled out in all directions like a tsunami in the sea. The distant stars seemed to be trembling. If this happened on the ground, it would definitely be a disaster. Not to mention anything else, just at this moment, this wave rushed out from the entrance of the Star River and directly shattered the sky. Even super experts like the Blood Hall Master, the Demon Hall Master, and the Alliance Master of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance could not help but shudder when they saw this scene. It was too terrifying. In the entire sky cloud boundary, except for the Sovereign Divine Weapon, there was probably no one who could block this wave. From this, one could see how intense the battle in the Star River was. We can't interfere in the battle in the Star River, but we can't lose the battle here, the Demon Hall Master said coldly. Of course, the Alliance Master smiled. Their opponent was the Blood Hall's Palace Master. The Demon Hall and the Blood Hall had been fighting openly and secretly for many years and had long become enemies. Now that there was an opportunity, the Demon Hall Master would naturally not be polite. As for the Alliance Master, although he did not have much enmity with the Blood Hall in the past, this time, he and the Shunmeng couple had been imprisoned by the Blood Hall for so many years, so he was already angry. Besides, at this time, there was no morality to speak of. Therefore, when the battle began, the two giants directly chose to join forces. Whether it was the Demon Hall Master or the Alliance Master, they were not weaker than the Blood Hall Master. When the two of them joined forces, the result was obvious. The Blood Hall Master was forced to retreat and was now seriously injured. Elder Hua, the Hall of Famers, and the Shunmeng couple were all dealing with the 5,000 secret guards. Although Elder Hua and the other three were at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, Elder Hua and the Hall of Famers were at the same level as the Alliance Master and the Demon Hall Master. They had mastered the ultimate laws. The Shunmeng couple was trusted by the Alliance Master, so they were naturally not weak. They had also mastered the ultimate laws. Although it was not the ultimate laws, it was still far beyond those secret guards. Every moment, there would be the secret guard screaming. And every time there was a secret guard would fall in a pool of blood. As for the Vice Alliance Master and Chu Yun, they led the Demon Hall's 10 Great Elders to kill the 9 Great Deacons. This was also a crushing situation. Let's talk about numbers first. The Vice Alliance Master, Chu Yun, and the 10 Great Elders, this was a total of 12 people. The 9 Great Deacons, there were only 9 of them. Let's talk about strength. Who didn't know the Vice Alliance Master and Chu Yun's strength? One had mastered the ultimate laws of death, and the other had mastered the ultimate laws of space. They were existences standing at the top of the pyramid in the Sky Cloud realm. Without a sovereign weapon, they were invincible. The Demon Hall's 10 Great Elders and the Blood Hall's 10 Great Deacons had the same status. Therefore, the strength of any one of them was not inferior to the 9 Great Deacons. Especially the Demon Hall's Grand Elder, he was an existence on the same level as the Great Deacons. He was a supreme existence who had mastered the ultimate laws. Not to mention the other elders, even if it was only the Demon Hall's Grand Elder, Chu Yun, and the Vice Alliance Master, it was enough to crush the 9 Great Deacons. Because the Blood Hall's 9 Great Deacons only mastered the ultimate laws of ordinary laws. As everyone knew, the power of the various strongest laws could crush the power of other laws, so they were not on the same level at all. Because of this, the 9 Great Deacons' situation was even worse. They were already at the end of their rope. At the same time, in the north of the western continent, there was an undulating mountain range. On the peak of a mountain, a group of people stood side by side, looking in the direction of the Blood Hall. It was Madman's group. However, at this moment, there was one more person. This person was Wang Dafu. Although they were separated by half of the western continent, they could still sense the battle fluctuations from the Blood Hall. Madman, there shouldn't be any problems, right? There was a trace of worry in White-Eyed Wolf's eyes. "Shut your crow's beak." Madman glared at him and looked in the direction of the Blood Hall again. "With the help of the Demon Hall and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, as long as the Ice Dragon doesn't appear, there will definitely be no problems." "I'm afraid it's the Ice Dragon." White-Eyed Wolf sighed. "It's useless to be afraid. If it really comes, we have to face it." Madman shook his head and turned to look at Wang Dafu. He frowned and said, "Why hasn't your subordinate sent back any news? Can they do it?" "It's useless for you to be anxious. Although Old High's cultivation is gone, he's a cunning old fox. As long as he leaves the Blood Hall, finding him is basically like finding a needle in a haystack." Wang Dafu said. White-Eyed Wolf asked, "Then when they retreated, did your people see him at the entrance?" "No. He's now in a soul state, so there are many possibilities. The most secretive way is to hide in a disciple's body and find an opportunity to slip away after leaving the Blood Hall. In any case, it's difficult to find him." Wang Dafu sighed. "No matter how difficult it is, we have to find him. This is what old Qin told us. If we can't even do this, not only will my reputation be ruined, I will also be laughed at by old Qin." Madman snorted. Wang Dafu shook his head helplessly. He also wanted to find Old Hai, but there was really no way. Buzz. Suddenly, the sound transmission godstone rang. Wang Dafu was stunned and hurriedly took it out. Madman and the others also quickly looked over. "Who is it?" White-Eyed Wolf asked. "Dong Xiaoyun." After Wang Dafu said that, he activated the sound transmission godstone. A woman in her 30s appeared in the void in front of them. "Is there any news of Old Hai?" Madman hurriedly asked. Dong Xiaoyun had also been leading people to search for Old Hai. Hearing Madman's words, she shook her head and said, "No." Madman's brows suddenly twitched. Dong Xiaoyun said again, however, "The disciples of the Blood Hall have been found." Madman was slightly stunned and hurriedly asked, "Where are they?" "At the junction of the western and southern continent, the Heavy Region." Dong Xiaoyun said, "Heavy Region? Why does it sound a little familiar?" Madman was suspicious. Xingda reminded, "It's one of the 4 forbidden lands of the Sky Cloud boundary." "So it's here." Madman nodded in realization. Although they went to the Heavy Region, they didn't dare to rashly step in. They are now hiding in a valley outside the Heavy Region. "How about it? Do you want to go and take a look?" Dong Xiaoyun asked. "Why should I look at them? Our target is Old Hai." White-Eyed Wolf's face was full of disdain. "No, it's necessary to go and take a look." Madman's eyes flickered. Looking at the suspicious White-Eyed Wolf, he said, "If it's as we guessed and Old Hai is hiding in a disciple's body, then he might be in that valley right now." "No way. Although I was guarding Miao when they were moving and didn't participate, I don't know how Old Hai left the Blood Hall, but the Blood Hall Lord said that Old Hai should leave alone and not stay with the disciples." Wang Changyuan shook his head. What if Old Hai thinks that it's safe to hide in the disciples' bodies and doesn't leave? In short, as long as there's a possibility, we can't let it go." Madman said, "That's right. It's better to kill 1,000 by mistake than to let one go." Xingda nodded in support of Madman. Wang Dafu glanced at Madman and said to Dong Xiaoyun, "Then give us the coordinates. We'll go there immediately." Dong Xiaoyun nodded and gave Madman and the others the coordinates before turning off the sound transmission godstone. Snowflake. Madman looked at Snowflake beside him. Snowflake immediately opened a space-time tunnel. Madman raised his head again and looked in the direction of the Blood Hall. He waved his hand and led a group of people into the space-time tunnel without looking back. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.